the signals for the Baltimore Colts. Unitas gives to Amici. The Colts are the world champions. Amici scores.
It's amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football. California won the big game.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
This is Phil Steele.
This is Mike Burnham.
This is Wes Durham.
This is Mike Ashley.
Hi, this is Chuck Foreman, number 44 of the Minnesota Vikings.
Woo, mercy, this is handsome Jimmy Vine, the Boogie Woogie Man.
This is Coach Fry with Virginia Tech Football, and you are listening to Big Dog Sports Talk.
Are you ready to rock? Are you ready to roll? Okay, let's do it.
You're in the Doghouse with Rick Watson on Big Dog Sports Talk, presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Join us in the Family Fencing Studios and chime in on the McClellan Chiropractic chat line. He's keeping cool with help from Little River Heating and Air, but this show is straight fire. And now, the big dog, Rick Watson.
Thank you for this. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for the smattering of applause. Good morning. How are you? It's Hump-Day Wednesday. We're halfway there for the week. Hope everybody's doing well wherever you might be. And we're glad to have you tuned in. It's going to be another big show here today. My goodness. Keon Brown's going to join us. We're going to talk about coaches that have influenced him throughout his playing career, where he is now in life. We're going to get into that with Keon. I might even bring up the Oscar Robertson comments about LeBron. Damien Sordelett, the Virginia Tech football beat writer for the Roanoke Times, will join us. We're going to get into his thoughts on the game. David Teel, and then Matt Roan, Director of Athletics at James Madison. He is a rising star. All that's coming up here on the program. Matt, of course, a Pulaski County native, played for Joel Hicks. And much like yesterday, you know, we had Marty on with Coach Ragsdale, Marty Smith. It's nice to see, you know, the local flavor going out and being very successful. And Matt is just tremendous, and he's doing good things down at JMU, and we'll get his thoughts on that. Bill Roth had to move to tomorrow. We'll maneuver all that through. That's the beauty of the flexibility of this show. So there we are. I want to thank everybody. Still hearing reactions from yesterday's show. Sometimes the unplanned things that happen are the best things that happened, and the way all that worked out with Coach Ragsdale and Marty was just was awesome. I just stayed the hell out of the way. I wasn't needed, and that's fine. It was a lot of fun, and that video's gotten well over 1,000 views and likes. It's been great. Keep those coming, and subscribe. Please spread the word. Subscribe. The best news about everything, about all this is it ties in the whole community reach, and I think we reached a lot of people yesterday. Actually, it wasn't we. It was Coach Ragsdale and Marty. And you could tell, because I got a call later on in the day from Marty and Coach Ragsdale. You know, Marty's traveling today to get where he's going to be covering college football, and I know he loves it, he enjoys it, and he's hit the pinnacle of, you know, what he wanted to do in his profession, and we're all proud of it. But I think yesterday, and many of you pointed it out, you could tell that was – he almost went back to being in the defensive backs room in Pearisburg as a sophomore, right? He was just that guy right off the farm into that locker room when Coach Ragsdale was on there. So thank you for all the support. It was fun. It was awesome. And if it works out, Marty wants to do a monthly thing like that with Coach Ragsdale. I'll keep you updated, but he heard from dozens of his either former teammates or football players from Giles reached out to him. So, and we'll see. And next time we're going to work on Coach Rags and his camera issues. But I don't know, something about that, it kind of made it more genuine. But that was just a heck of a lot of fun. We want to thank Family Fencing for sponsoring this program. Our studios here in Reiner. Let Family Fencing give your yard the upgrade that it deserves. They have a no-dig installation system They build you a beautiful fence, no holes, no mess, locally owned here in the NRV and Southwest Virginia. Finance options are available. You get free quotes, vinyl, wood, chain link, aluminum, doesn't matter, agricultural, commercial, residential. 540-200-8294, familyfencingnrv.com. Go see Jason Green and the crew at Family Fencing. They are outstanding, and we appreciate them so much. Join us, by the way, in our chat room. Get in there, and there's Family Fencing. See right there. Also, it's the McClellan Chiropractic chat room. There you go, Mark Hundley and the crew. Thank you so much. Jump in there. Let's talk. Boy, there were dozens and dozens of comments there yesterday as we had the great interview on yesterday with Coach Rags and Marty. And there's the text line. Many of you are hitting me up on the text line, 391-0788. Please do that. I love it. Text line's just old school. You know, I love the chat room. I love the text line. And don't forget to send your BDST fan question of the week answers to the text line, brought to you by attorney Ryan Pry. He is located, by the way, at 701 West Main Street. Hang on, I got a banner for him. Where's my banner? Yeah, there we go. Give him a call at 540-838-2233, PryLawOffice.com. And we're just asking, what college football game did you enjoy watching growing up the most? Gotten some really good answers and some reasons why, whether it was a uniform matchup, whatever it may be. Little River Heating and Air. You know, I woke up today, it's 48 degrees. So maybe you're looking more at the Little River Heating aspect of their title. Give them a call, Charles Lee and Company. I will vouch for them every day of the week. You're going to need to get your heat checked. Don't let it go bad. Let them fix it. If it's going to break, they're the best. Go see them, 1095 Radford Street. Tell them you heard us talking about it here on the program. And very honored again, as always, every day to be presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Pretty soon we're going to start talking about all their doings up there as we get into football season and talk to some of the great people up there. Thank you very much, Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. And by the way, we are also sponsored by National Bank, member FDIC, the exclusive banking partner of BDST on YouTube. And that was the big announcement that we had on Monday. So thank you so much. And there's a lot of room if anybody wants to jump on and be a sponsor of this program. That would be awesome. That was awesome. Just hit me up one way or the other, social media, email, phone. I don't care. I'd love to hear from you. Join us in the chat room. Good morning, Richard. Morning, Dwayne. How are you? Zach, we're going to talk about Caleb Woodson. Damien Sordelett's been covering it for the Roanoke Times, and guy who was a captain or was a captain for Brent Pry. It came out yesterday, a DWI arrest. It is a bad time to be losing a starter. I don't know what the punishment's going to look like. Not the kind of mojo you wanted going into game one against an SEC opponent. We'll get all the facts out. We'll find out a lot from Damien. I don't know where everything sits. It's not a good look. It's irresponsible that, to put yourself in that situation. I think it's tough to throw, a lot of judgment out until we know exactly what's happening. But I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory that when you get something like that, it's not good. So, yeah, we'll get into that. Timing could not be worse heading into the start of the season. There's no question about that. Just not good. Not good. Brent Pry took away his captain C, said he could get it back. I don't know. It's tough. You need to do the right thing. You need to set an example. I think it's tougher to do that today because of all the money that's out there with these players. It's different. You have to almost have an NFL mentality now. Brent Pry has to win this year. It's put him in a bad situation because, Caleb's a guy that he needs, clearly, on Sunday. I don't know if he's going to play or not. I guess we'll get a final announcement as we head into the weekend. But it's just a distraction. It's unfortunate that it's there. It's unfortunate that the other players also have to deal with it. But it's not good. It's not good. And how does he handle it? It's almost as if you're kind of hamstrung. If you suspend him for the game, you're hurting your chances in the game. If you kind of do it for just a little while, are people going to then reach out and criticize? I don't know. It's more delicate because it's now more of a business than ever before. And I think you have to look at this a lot like the NFL when they handle situations like that. Now they have the commissioner's office and the league and so forth that brings all this stuff down. But here it's just individual schools' decision on how they handle this situation. So, no, it's not good, Zach. It's not, for a lot of different reasons. Everybody is a human being, though. Trust me, we've all made just stupid mistakes in our lives. Yours truly being, hey, I'll raise my hand, right? So don't cast judgment. Don't try to say, hey, I can't believe somebody would do that. It happens. We're all human beings. So it sounds like it was a situation that he's very remorseful about. And so we'll see. We'll see how they handle it. I don't know how it's going to be handled. They haven't really said. But we'll get some insight from Damien a little bit later on the program today. So, so that's coming up. We are in week 1. We're just a couple days away. And the piece that I'm writing this week for The Patriot, thanks to Mike Williams, again, for giving me that outlet and supporting the program. I'm just talking about how much fun it is this week. Woke up today, it's 48 degrees. Monday it was a cool day. Yesterday was awesome. You walk outside in the middle of the day. It's just perfect weather. And Mother Nature is not immune to high school football starting up or football season in general starting up, right? It falls right in line with the rest of us. And that's kind of what it feels like to me. It's great. It's great. Feels great. It's warm. Then it's cooler. And then it's just downright cold. It's feeling like fall when at night you have to, I do have to shut the windows. And I'm weird. Well, hang on. Let me finish that sentence. I'm weird in the sense that I grew up on a farm working about every day with animals before school, after school. It was a hard way to grow up, but in a sense, it was an absolute necessary way to grow up, the appreciation that you had in life. But I'm outdoor cold okay. Like, if it's cold outside, I'm outside, I'm okay. I don't know if anybody else is like this, but when I'm inside house, I don't want the house cold. I can't stand it. And I know that makes no sense whatsoever. Maybe there's somebody out there where that makes a little bit of sense. But I just can't stand the inside of the house being cold. Outside, yeah, I'm fine. I'm just fine. Please like and subscribe this channel, our videos. It's very important. Subscription base is rising. Had a good bump over the last week. Keep it going, please. Tell your friends. Remind people that it's free to subscribe. Need it here on the program. Very important if we want this show to continue. And like I say, the views are strong. Couldn't thank you enough for taking the time to watch what we do. It's great. Rodney says, I hope you get to read your article, Rick. Well, I'm going to wait on you, Rodney. I'm going to wait on the hard copy next week. I'm giving up the whole online thing. Just going to accept that defeat. Yep. No, it's done. It's done. Many comments came in on the text line about, and I heard from a lot of former Giles football players. Oh, by the way, thanks to again the Waynes. This is my beverage holder right here. Believe. Not only believe in that guy, but believe that this show is going to continue to ascend. Only with your support, though, and your subscription pushes. But didn't Coach Ragsdale sound like he was ready to jump into the huddle His voice sounded the same to me the times I would hear his voice when I was calling Bobcats games, and we would just travel to play Giles, or they would come to Radford. Just full throat, man. Full throat. And the reverence that Marty had on his face just listening, enjoying it. I'm just glad they all had such a good time. That was awesome. And I believe we're going to do something going forward. Marty said, "You have any idea how many stories there are?" I said, "Oh, I can only imagine." So we're going to see how all that goes. But that's the plan going forward. Marty wants to do that, and we hope to work that out. That would be really cool. Really, really cool. We don't have a lot of those guys left around, unfortunately. We just lost one of the all-timers in Coach Linneberg, and to have Coach Ragsdale around and to be, that fluent about the past. Winfred Beal's the same way. We got to get Coach Beal on here. All these coaches around here. Yeah, I agree, Rodney. He sounded the same yesterday as he did 19 years ago. You know what really struck me, though? And this is what it's all about, and this is what this week's all about. This is why we feel this way. I mean, I'm giddy about high school football. I am. We're going to come home tomorrow evening, and we're going to have games we can turn on all night. College football. I think the first one is Boise State in South Florida, if I'm not mistaken. But did you hear how much – the one thing that stood out to me was how much Coach Ragsdale still misses it. And I'm not saying he's sad about not doing it, but he misses it. How much it's just still ingrained in him. He was throwing out memories. And he could place it. You could see it. He could see it right in front of him. Every play he described. When he called Marty slow as an old, what did he say? You called Marty. He said, "Marty, you're slower. You were slower than an old plow mule." But I think that's it right there. It encompasses why we hold these gentlemen in such high regard all over the New River Valley, Roanoke Valley, all these great coaches. Every last one of them. Because they all had it. Didn't matter which district you played in. These were leaders of young people. And on the 4th and Goal show this week, which debuts, we'll put it out tomorrow, myself and Jermaine Farrell getting ready for week 1. Jermaine has made this point before, and I'm going to ask him. The identity of the football programs through a certain era of when we were growing up and through what we witnessed yesterday is a reminder. Completely encompassed by the head coach. Didn't matter who played. Didn't matter if they changed a little bit of things offensively. Maybe they're having a defensive front change. Maybe they're going to run a 4-man front, 3-man front, whatever it might be. If the head coach was still there after all those years, that's immediately what you thought of. And Coach Ragsdale, he sold himself short. He said, I don't know if anybody outside, Parisburg knows anything about who I am or this program. Trust me, Coach, they do. You're in the Hall of Fame for a reason. And that's what I'm talking about. You could talk about Giles High School football, Narrows football, Radford, Floyd County, Christiansburg, Blacksburg. Doesn't matter. And everybody on the state knew who that head coach was of that program. Matthew, his description of hearing the cicadas in foggy mornings struck a heartstring. Yeah, didn't it? And did you see Marty? That's a great point, Matthew. Hit us up, by the way, in the McClellan Chiropractic chat room. Marty got teary-eyed. I don't know if you noticed that. Just like he told that story of going back 20 years later, sitting in the bleachers. watching practice, said he just started bawling. He just uncontrollable sobbing. I get it. When I went back for the first time, and there's various times that I went back broadcasting Pulaski County Cougar games on the radio, I had gotten out of high school football broadcasting. I had finished, I guess the last time I had done it regularly was when I was calling Blacksburg games with Dave Chris. We had a New River Valley game of the week, and I was doing Christiansburg and Blacksburg, and I'm not sure if we did Floyd or not. We never went to Auburn, but I don't know where all we were. But it worked out that, there were times, and Dan Callahan was calling the games, I think at that time with Randy Thompson. I can't remember who all the people were that were in there, but there were times, Dan would go, "Hey, I don't want to be the lead guy. I don't want to do it. I want to be on the sideline. Would you do it?" I said, "Sure, I'd do it." Jack Turner was the coach, and just going back. And I remember sitting up there, the same thing. Thought about this yesterday as things moved on yesterday. When, Marty talked about that uncontrollable sobbing. I remember sitting up in the press box that is now, of course, so aptly named after Dan, as it's going to be forever. Dan Callahan's press box. You're damn right. And if Kenneth J. Dobson Stadium, Joel Hicks Field, you walk out of the press box there, it's right in the center. You walk down and those steps that kind of wind, and then you go down and you sit. I sat in the back step and just looked at the field, and I kind of did the same thing. I got teary-eyed. Very grateful that I'd be calling the game that night. So I get it. And Coach Ragsdale brought that out yesterday. He did. So I hope it works out that we are able to have these folks on every month or so. That's what Marty wants to do. Coach Ragg said he had an absolute blast. An absolute blast. And that made me very happy. People were giving me credit. He says, "Hey, man, just the fact you had Coach Ragsdale on in any capacity in this new format, that's a feather in your cap." Which I thought was funny, but he did fine. He did fine. So yeah, it was good. It was good. But yeah, all I'm going to say about the Caleb Woodson situation, we're going to talk about it with Damien here coming up next hour. I know it's easy to get all mad and to start pointing fingers at somebody. And I know he made a horrible mistake, and I'm sure he feels terrible. Brent Pry feels terrible. But let's just kind of wait and see what happens, man. I just as I've gotten older, you start to realize things that maybe you didn't do so right throughout your life, even if it's later in life. It's very easy to sit back and act like you're the judge and the high authority over everything, but that's not the way things go. Every day is a challenge. You wake up, you want to do the best you can. You want to get through the day. Nothing's promised to us. And you don't want to do something that's going to hurt somebody else or put you in a bad situation. It's a challenge. It's a challenge. Got to be careful. The world's not a kind place. And I mentioned that in the piece that I wrote this week for the Patriot. When you walk into the stadiums on Friday, wherever you might be, over here in Reiner, Rocky Mount, Roanoke County, Lynchburg, Northern Virginia, Pulaski County, Parisburg, wherever, I don't care. You go down to Elliston. For those moments when you're walking up there, whether you have a son playing on a team, whether you have a daughter who's a cheerleader, whether you have a child who's a member of the band, whatever it may be, there's another outlet for us to survive. You walk into there, you hear all the sounds, you smell the hot dogs, the way the lights are on. I mean, the air, the whole thing takes you out of the day-to-day, just like pop culture does, music, movies, collecting things, whatever it might be, sports in general. But it's real. It's real. Every bit of it is real. And that's why it means so much. Everybody has a clean slate this week. Everybody. Virginia Tech, South Carolina. One team is desperate. This year it's Virginia Tech. Last year it was South Carolina. But now South Carolina's a favorite, and Tech is still very desperate to turn things around. We don't know how it's going to go. We have no idea. And that's what makes it so fun and frustrating. You think you know, but you may not know. We may not know. We don't know. And that's some of the best parts of all this is the not knowing, I think. So enjoy it. Have a great time. This Friday night, every Friday night is special. I mean, there's no question going forward, going to a game. You know, if you're fortunate enough to be able to travel, that your child either plays on the field, in the band, cheer, whatever, it all comes together. They're all special, those opportunities, but man, none more so than opening night. Opening night just means something. In all sports, it means something, but especially, I think, when you're getting into the heart and soul of high school football. It's awesome. Reggie, thank you. That means a lot. That means a lot. He says, the great thing about the show is that you celebrate our local area sports and communities in a respectful way. And that unites us. National shows are all about hot takes. Yeah, correct. Right. It's about clicks. It's about idiocy. What happens on a national level. ESPN's unwatchable because of it. They're not about sports in any way, shape, or form. They haven't been for a long time. It's all about that. It's all about trying to be divisive. And this is a community show, and I've said it for 15 years on the radio, and I've said it now. If this show's going to make it, it's because of you. If this show's going to continue to build and we're going to defeat this algorithm, and I get the pressure every week from the gentleman who's watching, I have an assigned person. They're pleased, but hey, got to get those subscription numbers up. I know. It's all going to be because of you. So there is, and it's honest. I'm part of this community. I'm a New River Valley product. I grew up in Pulaski County. I live over here in Reiner. I know the kind of people that represent this place. And when I bring my first guest on here, I'm going to ask him about that because he wasn't from here. Came here, and I know what he thinks about, the 4 years he spent here and the people that he met and so forth. So thank you, Reggie. That means a lot. That means a lot. And yesterday you encompassed that with Marty. And you know what? That's been the biggest secret to Marty Smith's success is he's never lost that. He's taken it with him to the grand stage. He's not your typical ESPN type of talking head. He's not that guy. He's who he is, and that's why he is. I believe that's why he stands out, and that's why he's made it. He hasn't lost that, so that's great. Somebody else who's not lost that is our first guest, and you're looking at him right now. There's his beautiful face. Keon Brown joins us on the program. What's up, KB?
Rick Watson, what's going on, buddy? How you doing, brother?
What's going on, man? How are you?
I can't complain about a thing. You doing all right, man?
Yeah, man. How's the fam? Everybody good?
Everybody's good. I hear somebody upstairs whining, but I don't have to deal with that. So.
Let's talk about people.
Let's do it.
All right. Let's talk about where you're from. And you came here to Radford and played 4 years.
Yes.
And I'm guessing, correct me if I'm wrong, but for you, KB, I'm guessing it was the first time you'd been exposed to the New River Valley and the people here. Take us through some of the things as you got acclimated to Radford, not only as a player, as a student, but as you were a citizen. You were part of our community. What were some of the things you picked up on early about the people here?
Well, what I picked up on early about that community is, the people there work hard. And that's why I think the city loved me. The town loved me for the player that I was, because my biggest skill set was my ability to play hard. And I think that they could relate to that. But what also stood out to me was how embracive they were for a young guy who was 18-year-old coming on campus and seeing me at the Food Lion and seeing me at the Kroger and seeing me at the Walmart and making sure everything was all right mentally, make sure I was doing and being the best player that I could be. And I was building relationships with so many people in the community, whether it was Dean the barber, whether it was the chicken man who had the bus at the Kroger, where I even saw, Miss Candy, who was Steph Curry's grandma a few times, who was a wonderful lady. And, rest in peace to her, who just passed away recently. The community was so tight-knit that wherever you went, you knew someone would recognize you because you represented them on the basketball court at the university. So I think we fit hand in hand. I can relate to them. They can relate to me. And that's why they always have a special place in my heart. And that's why it's my home away from home. Richmond is home. I love Richmond. Yeah, Richmond absolutely. Is literally my favorite place in the world to be. I love that city. But Radford is right there. And that's because of the way that they embraced a young 18-year-old. And when I left as a 22-year-old, it just felt like family to me.
Yeah, that's beautifully said. And I think that's and it was effortless, wasn't it? You came here, people got to know you. Hey, you're part of us now. You're one of us now, right?
No doubt about it. And every year on my birthday, on June 29th, I know that at least 10 people from Radford that had nothing to do with the university, but had everything to do with the community will reach out and wish me a happy birthday. It happens every year since I've been there, and they haven't missed a year since. So it's just a special place to me. And whenever I get there, I just get this feeling of nostalgia, this feeling of comfort that I'm back home.
I want to talk about, because you talk about it very emotionally. I want to talk about the coaches that shaped your life.
Okay.
Not only as a player growing up, but also as a man. And I know I'm not, take us through the lineage of from high school to college. We know it culminated with Mike Jones, and I know what he still means to you. But how about as you climb the ladder? What did you need in certain sections of your life, and who was it that provided that to keep you headed towards your goal to ultimately be a Division I college basketball player?
Well, for me, the first person that comes to mind is my brother. His name is Damien Brown. He played college at Nebraska. But what he did for me was he surrounded himself with a friend group who all played basketball. One of his best friends was named Bumbali Osby. I call him my cousin. He's not my cousin. He's from all the way out in Africa, but he was one of his best friends, and he ended up playing at the University of Maryland. And when I was 14 or 15 years old, we drove to what was the Xfinity Center, or Comcast Arena then, and I saw him play against Wake Forest. And that's what opened my eyes to the sport. I was fairly late in the game. I didn't start playing serious basketball until I was about 14, maybe 15 years old.
Wow.
So when I saw that just changed life for me. But he always surrounded himself with guys who played. It was himself. It was Bumbali's brother Levi played at Siena. It was one of our neighbors when we were living in Blackwell Projects by the name of Dante Hammond, who was committed to go to Indiana. It was his, college roommate who named was Jamil Jones Jamil White, I believe it was. And his brother Rodney White played for the Denver Nuggets.
That's right.
Lottery from UNC Charlotte. So he surrounded himself with people. And then I did that when I started playing. So I wanted to be just like them and my friends. One of my best friends growing up named was Michael Benajay. He went to Duke. He was a top 20 recruit, ended up going to Syracuse. I had CJ Barksdale, who played at Virginia Tech, was on my AAU team. Matt Gorski was a guy who went to University of Illinois, Chicago. Dave Robinson went to Longwood. So I surrounded myself with those guys, and I wanted to at least say I'm a Division I player just like all of those guys that I listed, and that was my motivation. And then when I went to Fork Union, it was Fletcher Arrett. I mean, everybody knows about Coach Arrett.
Absolutely.
Arguably the best prep coach in the history of prep school hoops. Has a movie coming out soon.
He does.
By our guy, Phil Wall, that's Chad Wall's brother, guy at Radford. And once that comes out, it's going to be amazing. I'll be in that as well because they filmed his last season coaching, which was my last year at Fork Union. And then Coach Byers, who is I literally tell everyone, my brother's the coach at Virginia Tech, and I'm talking about Coach Byers. He fought so hard for me to be eligible to play at Radford when things were up at an all-time high. I went to a tournament at Fork Union and left that tournament with 60 scholarships, Division I scholarships. And then once the NCAA clearinghouse issue happened, I only ended up with 8 because there were programs who thought I wouldn't be eligible. Radford and Coach Byers and Coach Jones thought I would be eligible. So they fought for me to get eligible. I ended up being eligible. That's why it was an easy choice to come to Radford. So it was Coach Byers and then Coach Jones, who was like a mentor to me, who always showed me tough love. And being the guy that I was, I kind of went at him sometimes, but he knew the man that I was, the person I was, the human that I was. And if it weren't for him and what he taught me about the game, I wouldn't have the knowledge when I'm on air. I wouldn't have the knowledge when I'm calling a basketball game. It was those guys who shaped what I was and who I am ultimately today.
Keon Brown joining us on the program, and he's our basketball expert. We're at a basketball season. We're talking about some other things that we look at here. And I know when you talk about Fork Union, Coach Eric, you knew you made a right decision, but now that you look back, I mean, can you overstate how important that was, that whole experience?
I cannot, because it instills something in you that you will have for the rest of your life. I literally call every single human being that I come across ma'am or sir. Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. My daughter's 2 years old. I call her ma'am, no, ma'am. Whenever I come across a kid I'm teaching, it's yes, ma'am, yes, sir, no, whatever. You just get that instilled in you, and it'll never go anywhere. I make my bed up every single morning. I make sure everything is perfect and neat on the desk. Is this OCD thing that it gives to you. The schedule there was amazing. You wake up at 5:30. Make sure you're out on the line at 6. You're making sure your uniform is tight. 6:15, you're saluting the flag. Once that's over, you're walking to breakfast. Once that's over, you come and clean your room, and then you go to class, and then you go to chapel, then you go back to class, and then you leave, have formation, and then you go to basketball practice, and then you go to lunch, and then you go back to class, and then you go back to formation, and then you go to practice, and then you go to dinner, and then you go and, salute the flag, put the flag down, clean your room again, even though you cleaned it twice already and it's spotless. And then you have study hall for an hour and a half or 2 hours. Then you got 15 minutes to brush your teeth, get ready for bed. Lights out are at 9:45 or 10, and then you wake up and do it all over again. So you build this callus of hard work, and it's a place where it's just special. You hear all the NFL players that have come through there, and right next door to me was Cardell Jones and Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas was the Saints wide receiver who was really good at one point.
Yeah.
He's got his career off the rails, and Cardell Jones was that third-string quarterback who led Ohio State to the national championship.
That's right.
Those were my next-door neighbors at Fork Union. So it's a place where you just don't forget all of the memories there, and most importantly, the lessons that you learned there and instilled in you as a man today.
I know it's going to sound like a weird question, but
yeah,
how tough was the adjustment period when you got to Radford when you didn't have to do all that? You were probably waking up every day thinking, all right, where is this, right? It was different.
Well, the biggest adjustment to me was the women. For me, Fork Union was an all-boys boarding school.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I guess so.
I got googly eyes when I got to Radford. I was like, whoa, I've been at Fork Union the last 2 years. Now you're going to let me on this campus?
Yeah.
It's over. I think I said it on, when we were back on the old show. I left Radford with one son. Thank you, Lord, because I should have had about 8 or 9 of them. I'm telling you, time was had. I'll say that.
Oh, that's great. That's good stuff. Well, and now, like you said, and you've taken all that with you now as a father. I'm sure you borrow on all those lessons, and it culminated with Mike Jones and the patience he showed you and the career you put forth and so forth. And now that passion and everything, you've carried it in. I mean, I don't know very many people that have the passion for basketball and covering, especially college basketball, that you do. And I know that's because it's been so honest how you've learned it over the years, even though you started late, like you said.
Yeah, and it's an addiction. Like last night, I was up until 12:45 watching VCU games from the 2020 season. It was Dayton versus VCU back when Dayton would have made a run at the Final Four when they had Obi Toppin before COVID ruined everything. I just can't get enough of it. I will never get enough of it. It's something that what I love about the game right now, but it's one of the most difficult things to grasp, is all the player movement. So when you talk about different teams, you have to get comfortable with the new rosters, because every year there's going to be turnovers. No more year-to-year teams as far as, all right, these guys were a freshman class, they'll be back next year. You have to get used to the new players coming in from different programs. It's like a musical chairs in college basketball. So I'm trying to figure out a way where I can remember every player coming from different programs to a new one. That's my biggest challenge right now. I'm so excited doing it because it's one of the hardest things in the game to remember. But I'm off to a solid start, but it's difficult.
Yesterday, we interviewed or had a brief conversation with Shaka Smart from Mike Jones' Hall of Fame video.
Yeah.
He wanted, Coach Jones requested he be on there, and he was talking about that VCU team a whole lot. Where were you in your life? How much did you pay attention being from Richmond? How much did that affect you? Did it affect you more after the fact or during when it happened, when they made that magical Final Four run?
So both, and I'll tell you why. When you're from Richmond, there are 2 universities in the city. You either go to or root for the University of Richmond, and I know your guy Bob Black's over there, shout out to him, or you go and root for VCU. VCU resonated more with the inner city, and it was, 6 minutes away from where I grew up. So I really paid attention more to VCU, even though I appreciated the University of Richmond and Chris Mooney. I think he's one of my favorite coaches in college basketball. He's entering like year 22 or something like that. Ridiculous. Yeah. But the reason that I was so invested in it is because not only was because I was from Richmond, but because while I was at Fork Union, one of my teammates, his name was Briante Weber, was going to VCU the next year. So we would always watch the games together during that Final Four run, whether it was USC versus Georgetown. Then they ended up beating Purdue, and then they ended up beating Kansas to go to the Final Four. He was right there with me for every single game. He goes to VCU, and when you think of Havoc and VCU basketball, you think of Briante Weber. And that's why last season his jersey got retired. So if you go into Segal Center, you'll see that number 2, and you'll see that Weber. That's why I was so invested. It was because of Briante and being from the city. We all could relate to being in with the VCU brand somehow, some way. And being from Richmond, you just loved it. It shut the city down. Everybody had to, be a part of it because the city hadn't had anything happen to them like that ever. So when they played Butler in the Final Four, it was the weekend of the high school all-star basketball game. The game was empty. And that was because everybody was at home watching VCU versus Butler. My mom was even at the game. She had the game pulled up on her phone. I don't even think she was paying attention to what I was doing out there. Everybody wanted to see how VCU would play against Butler. The Cinderella run ended. They lost to Butler, but it was something that you'll never forget. And VCU won't let you forget it either, because every time you go on campus, there's something about that Final Four there. And then we talk about, Chad and Phil Wall, those guys, they have a movie on that. I think it's called Believing is Believing Here. They got a movie on that. The same, those are the brothers, which Chad is the one doing the movie. Phil's our guy at Radford, right? Was it Chad? I keep mixing those two up. Who's our guy at Radford?
That's Chad.
Yeah, Chad's at Radford.
Yeah,
Phil's
Chad.
the one who's producing the movie. So those two guys, always embrace me as well. But if you want to see that run, go watch that movie. Believing is Believing Here. It's unbelievable.
Was it – correct me here because I know you know that run. Was it the Florida State game? Was that?
Yes. So they started out beating USC.
Right, in Dayton.
Yep. And then they beat Georgetown and Florida State, Purdue.
Florida State, yeah.
Kansas. That was the run. It was – they ended up beating Florida State on that slip screen to the basket and the baseline bounds. Yeah.
And Shaka talked about how Coach Jones had the scout for that game, and they designed that play. It's funny you say that. He mentioned it yesterday. It's going to be on the video to beat them, right? And he said that was the game that made our guys realize we can beat anybody. And because he gave Mike a lot of credit for that. So.
And I know once they beat Kansas, I know that was like, whoa, we really can do this thing.
Yeah.
Kansas had the Morris twins, obviously Bill Self's over there coaching. And then before tip-off, I think it was Marcus Morris went up to Joey Rodriguez, who was the point guard of VCU, and said that run is over. And then you ended up blowing out Kansas. So it's like, what a run. It's something you just will never forget.
No. And just like when George Mason did it, it's so cool that they both happened from within the Commonwealth. But
absolutely.
Well, brother, listen, great stuff, man. I love hearing that. I love hearing you tell that story. And I know you gotta get ready to go for class. How's the youngins doing? How's it gotten off? Has it gotten off to a good start? You got your hands full, I know. You told me.
Yeah, well, it's hard to believe, but month 1 is almost over. Once this week is over, it's been a month already. It's a short week. Tomorrow is the last day because of the holidays coming up. So I'm just trying to survive in advance, dude. That's what it's about right now. I promise.
You're literally VCU right now. All right, brother. Well, enjoy the college football. I know you will. And then we're 1 week out from the NFL. We got to talk about your guy. We got to talk about your squad because I think they're going to even build on what they did last year.
Absolutely. You the man, brother. I appreciate you.
You are. Love you, man. Take care.
Right,
be safe. All right. There you go. Keon Brown. That's great, man. That's great stuff from KB to hear all that. We talked about it yesterday with coaches and the influence. And that's a great story. And boy, imagine just describing that at Fuma, what he went through every day. Every day. You get to Radford. That was a good answer. I get a lot of text messages. That was a great answer. What was the thing about Radford? Girls. Oh, God. Hokey Bob in our McClellan chiropractic chat room says, Coach Ragsdale reminded me of one of those old Pratt & Whitney engines on a B-17 bomber starting up. Once he got to running smooth, you knew the thunder was coming. An incredible show. It was. And if you're joining us late, heard from both Marty and Coach. We're going to hopefully do that every month going forward. So Marty said it made me feel good because Marty said he hadn't had that good a time in front of a camera in a long time. So that was good. That was good. So, yeah, we'll keep you updated on all that. I hope all that happens. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. Please go through and tell people. I know most people who watch the show are already, subscribed, and we need you to do that. Like and subscribe the videos. Go watch, and it's free. Remind people, ring that little bell right there. That's what it looks like right there. See that little red bell? It's going to shake. It's free. Got to push that number up now. We had over 1,000 views on the video yesterday, which is great. What I love about YouTube is that you can go back and watch anytime, and I do that some. It only registers one IP address, so you can't go back and watch multiple times to get more views. But so everything you get's unique, which is why their algorithm is so important. But it's so great to be able to go back and watch those moments. And there were parts of the show. I went back yesterday afternoon and just watched that hour again. And I just liked it because I wasn't needed. I was just sitting there like everybody else listening and watching Marty's face and Coach. It was cool. It was cool. Hit us up in the on the BDST text line. I have a lot of people always ask me. I need to have a way to have that number more out there. I don't want to let it scroll the whole time. That'd be distracting. There you see it, 540-391-0788. Send me, by the way, your fan question of the week, sponsored by attorney Ryan Pry. We're just asking you your favorite college football game to watch. When you were growing up, you may not have thought about it, but it's one you never wanted to not watch. My mom, who's still the greatest human being I'm ever going to know, it's hard to believe it's been 2 years plus since she passed, but massive football fan. And she loved the Texas Longhorn helmets. We grew up on a farm, Longhorns, she loved Michigan. She loved Michigan's uniform. So she always rooted for Texas and she always rooted for Michigan. And she used to love to watch. She used to always love Texas and Oklahoma and Michigan, Ohio. So it didn't matter. So just things like that, right? Just things like that. Yeah, it's true. I could do that, couldn't I, Wayne? I could put right here, I could put text line. I could put the number right there on the micro. Ooh, right here on the arm. I could put it right here, couldn't I? See, that's why you're the smartest listening audience in radio. Yeah, I could put the text line right here and you could see it. That's what I might do. See there? See there? That's good. Very good. That's why I asked you. It's your show. That's why I asked you for advice. Thank you. Thank you very much. I like that, Wayne. I might try to do that. Yeah, I could put that right here. You could see that, right? Text line right here. Right there. On my Rode microphone arm. Thanks to Keon Brown, Damien, Sordelett, David Teel, and then Matt Roan, Director of Athletics at James Madison, going to join us. Bill Roth has to move to tomorrow. He's got a lot going on this morning. I think he's actually out of town this morning, so he didn't have time to join us, and he will be with us tomorrow. Jen and I will have our picks coming up. Looking forward to that. That'll be on Friday, our first game picks. And, by the way, since everybody seems to ask, Mike Palmer has been very nice enough to, he says he's got my shelf issue here to put stuff up. He's got it under control. Mike's going to take care of that for me. He says, I'm just going to trust Mike. It's coming. Because I got the cool Tech football helmet. I got all the cool stuff people have got me. I got the koozie, Padre koozie. I got the little Jeep model from Wayne. Todd Joyce sent me some cool stuff. I got all sorts of memorabilia. I got a Mount St. Mary's basketball jersey. Hang on. Let me show you that. This came from Donnie Lynn, who's going to be part of this show on a semi-regular basis. Look at that. Coach Lynn sent me. I want to get this propped up somehow. Look at that. I think that's an actual game jersey. Is that cool or what? We will proudly support the Mount and Coach Lynn. Got to the NCAA tournament. So I want to get all these things up and going. A little Bobcats helmet. A little Cougar stuff. I want to get all that stuff up there. Coach Lynn, one of my all-time favorite people. So I'm thrilled to death. By the way, another little promotional thing we're going to do here. Coming up, Sports and More is going to be part of this channel, but it's going to be a separate show with myself and David Smith. So that's going to come up. It's going to be a separate hour recording, and we're going to, obviously talk about the NFL and sports, but we're going to talk about other things too. So that's coming up. And we'll let you know when that debuts. That's getting close. So that's happening. Fourth and Goal show will debut tomorrow with myself and Jermaine Farrell. And there may be another show that's developing. Maybe. Here soon. It'll all be uploaded on the Big Dog Sports Talk YouTube channel. And all that counts is views, clicks, likes, subscribes. Subscriptions. What did I say? Subscribes. But please tell people to subscribe, and it's free. We need peeps in there. Yeah, it is an exceptional jersey. Who is the guy on the right? Oh, that Randy Gradishar guy right here. I got that last year in Canton. If you remember, I was still doing the show, and we met. I got to meet Randy and interview him, my all-time favorite Denver Bronco. The reason really I'm a Denver Broncos fan. You want to talk about why you're the fan of a team? It's that guy. That's why I was a young guy and I wanted to be a linebacker. It was because of number 53. Oh, promo supposed to be me? Why, you didn't think that looked like me, Wayne? Come on. Yeah, I know. That's about the best we could do, though. I tried to incorporate actual photos, but it didn't work. Dennis on the chat room said, hey, where's the camel? There you go, Dennis. See, there you go. There you go. See? You asked for it, you get it. There you go. It is hump day. Yeah, we had the camel on. And as always, too, regardless, you say hi to Selma. Yeah. See? Welcoming you in every single day. Imagine walking by the villa at the end of a long day and you see that woman sitting there waving at you that way. Right. Just saying. But yeah, we tried to do pictures. It didn't work. It just didn't work. Did not work in any way, shape, or form. Did not work. What's great too is and I've been asked about it a lot since we started the YouTube show. Selma Hayek, the whole thing with Selma is legitimately real. You know, when you're younger, and I think, you know, you go back to the 50s, Marilyn Monroe, the 60s, and Lana Turner, and Jane Russell, all those. However far you go back, there's always the it girl. Like the episode of Seinfeld, she was the it girl. Selma Hayek has always been the it girl, and she always will be. 1A Susanna Hoffs is, I mean, she could be one. But Selma is the it girl. So she's followed the show around for 15 years on the radio and now here, so which is why she's going to continue to make regular appearances, even though she doesn't know about it. Did you know that we tried back in the first round of the show, about 2008? I got as close as I probably ever will be to having her on the show. I finally got some information. We the station at the time, we were a Fox Sports affiliate. We were a Fox Sports affiliate. And so you had connections. Like we had all sorts of people on the show. Charles Barkley, Troy Aikman. You had all sorts of people that you could get their addresses, and that's part of what they did for affiliates. They would come on your show. We got Charles Barkley on the golf course. I think he was drunk, but it didn't matter. It was great radio. And somehow we were able to get the agent's name and information for Selma, and I was reaching out, and I actually had a back and forth conversation. Understood, and I explained she kind of became the face, the representation of the show in a lot of ways. And I don't know how close it ever got. I got one of those, okay, well, that sounds great. She's very busy right now. This was kind of before she got just in a magnitude of just immense superstardom. But yeah. Rodney, I know exactly what you're talking about. The Adrienne Barbeau poster, the purple poster is what you're talking about. Where she's wearing the purple thing. I had that too. I did. You know exactly, before you even see it, before you even say it, I know what you're saying. Best audience in radio. Yep. Adrienne Barbeau. If you don't know who she is, look her up. She was on Maude. Then she was in movies. If you ever see Escape from New York with Snake Plissken, Kurt Russell, great movie. Isaac Hayes, The Duke. I love that movie. I just watched it a couple weeks ago on Prime or something. That is a great movie. Well, it's a great popcorn movie. Great movie. But she's in that. That's Adrienne Barbeau. Yeah. So check it out. All right. Coming up a little bit later on, David Teel is going to join us, as well as Matt Roan, the director of athletics at James Madison. We'll remind you to please give Family Fencing a call if you need fencing of any kind. 540-200-8294. They have no dig installation system, no holes, no mess. They're locally owned, people that are working hard to build their business, and they want to build your home with a nice protective barrier or so forth. Finance options are available, free quotes. There it is, 540-200-8294. Chat room popping once again. Thanks to McClellan Chiropractic, Mark Hundley and the crew for all of their assistance and sponsoring this program. Again, very proud to be brought to you, presented by on a daily basis by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Thanks to Jonathan Sweet and Tim Miller for all their help. Little River Heating and Air, 1095, Radford Street in Christiansburg. And with these colder high school football S-type temperatures, you might need to look at the heat part of that. Thanks to all those folks. And, of course, our newest sponsor that we welcome on this week, and it's National Bank. member FDIC for being the exclusive bank partner, and my own personal bank for over 30 years. So, yeah, very exciting as we continue to grow sponsorship and support. And thank you again for yesterday and the wonderful support we've had. That video is now over 1,100 views. Again, best part about that was I was able to stay the hell out of the way. Joining us on the program now, he is the Virginia Tech football beat writer for the Roan Times. His name is Damien Sordelett. Damien, how are you, man? Good morning.
Morning, Rick. Doing well. Glad to actually get a depth chart. And
hey!
It's game week. I'm happy about that.
We'll get into the depth chart, but let's talk about the other thing, because I've already been hit up on it. They said, hey, please ask Damien. Let's get to it. Tell us the story of what's going on with Caleb Woodson, the DWI. What's it mean? What's the circumstances? And how's it going to be handled, in your opinion, going forward into the weekend?
Well, it's a DWI and in Montgomery County, Christiansburg General District Court. That's where it's being handled. He has a reckless driving charge out of Warren County from back in June where he was going 96 and 70. That court date is September 16th. So he's got two things hanging over his head. Not to mention that he got popped for doing 96 and 65 last year in Blacksburg, and they wrote him off with a simple traffic infraction. So I don't know if he's listening to Tracy Chapman's Fast Car on repeat while he's driving or anything like that. But, yeah, it's probably one of those situations where they're going to tell him don't drive during the season. Just that might be an internal punishment. With everything going on, I don't know if they play him this week because you have to send a message that this is not acceptable, especially from a captain, even though he got his captaincy stripped. You have to set an example. And even if it's game one against South Carolina and everyone's probably saying, oh, you can set him against ODU, you can set him against Wofford. If you have something like this, you have to set the tone. You have to say, hey, this is not acceptable. We can't tolerate this. You have to set an example. And Caleb's a great kid. Got to talk to him quite a bit over the last year. He's gotten much more comfortable talking to us. He's well-spoken. You can tell he actually cares about, playing for Virginia Tech and not chasing the big NIL dollars. So, it's unfortunate it's happening to him, but at the same time, you have to set an example. And I know everyone's saying it's a misdemeanor, wait to the court date, and then make your ruling. But I would say just go ahead, be proactive. I don't know if it's a half, I don't know if it's an entire game, but you got to do something to set the tone.
It feels like it's tougher now. This is such a big year for Coach Pry, and players are making money. I mean, do you think it changes a little bit the coach's perspective just because of that? I mean, this is basically a professional roster now throughout the country we're talking about. I mean, it probably shouldn't, but maybe it does, and you're right. I'll be interested to see. No official announcement yet, right? We just know that the captainship's been taken away for the time being.
Yeah, I have a feeling Pry's not going to reveal the punishment until Sunday. And because it's a non-conference game, I don't think any team's going to release an injury report. So we probably won't know until we get there to Mercedes-Benz Stadium Sunday and see people coming out to warm up. And if we don't see number 20 out there, then we know he's not playing. That's probably going to be the first time we know if a decision's been made or not. So I think that's going to be a little bit of gamesmanship on Pry's part because he wants South Carolina to prepare for your best linebacker being on the field. So, the same way with this depth chart with so many oars listed and like running back listing all 6 scholarship running backs on there, minus Jeff Overton. So I think that's going to be what's going to happen is, he's not going to make a decision publicly. He will probably wait until, like I said, Sunday, and then we'll have to just see with our own eyes if he's there or not.
Well, let's get into the depth chart because you're right. It was almost as if it was put out facetiously. It was almost like, hey, here's our South Carolina says we're not doing one. Tech gave one, but you're right. It kind of And what would it look like if, say, Caleb sits out the game? What's your confidence in, that depth chart, looking at it, how they would try to solve that big hole in that defense?
Yeah, I think Santiago would be the first one up there at that Mike position. From what everything we've heard is he's come in and really, shaped up really well. Probably made a comment at ACC Football Media Days that, at Temple, they just don't have the resources to feed them and train them that you would at other Power 4 programs. So he's come in and he put on good weight quickly. He went into the weight room really well and has adapted to the position. So the fact that he has a lot of snaps at Temple allows you to say, okay, he's someone who could play and play immediately. And that should help out. Maybe you can slide Caleb Spencer inside. I know he's more of that, I guess, Sam linebacker position where you can, that third linebacker where you can play with, how you want to do your formations, whether you have, like a Spencer who is a faster linebacker, or Christian Ellis who's a safety who has coverage skills, or James Jeanette who's a rush guy. You're trying to figure out what you want to do with that position. I don't know if they want to move Spencer inside because he provides so much value at that Sam position where, you can put him in there as like a third linebacker and he can be a guy who comes off the edge. He can be a guy who's in coverage. He can be a guy who's a run stopper. I don't know if you really want to lose that by having to move him inside. So it'll probably be Keller, Santiago Short, maybe even a George Balance if you need to get into the rotation a bit. But I think because of getting Santiago and Short in the offseason, that really helped.
Is it possible in your mind that Tech can, even with what's on the line this season, and there's no secret about it, I mean, heck, it's been more publicly talked about by coaching and AD than I thought it ever would be, to be honest. But is there a way Tech can play this game well, lose the game, because they are 8-point underdogs right now, and still you come out of there feeling optimistic? Or is this you got to go out and win it to make this statement? In other words, can you have a good loss, if that makes any sense?
Yeah. With Babcock, when we asked him what progress would look like, he didn't give a definitive answer. This was back in March when we talked to him. It was like right before Pro Day started, where he asked, he mentioned the buck stops with him, and he mentioned that again at the Board of Visitors meeting. But he mentioned that, and we're like, well, what's progress supposed to look like for a football team? And he didn't want to measure it in wins and losses. He just said we need to see progress, and that's incremental steps forward. So what does that look like on the field? That probably looks like if you're an 8-point dog, you cover that. You lose by 7 or 6, and you play competitively with South Carolina. And then you turn around, instead of having a fall off against Vanderbilt because you're at home, it's your home opener, you go out and you win that one. And then you win against Old Dominion, and you win against Wofford, and you show improvement. You show there's in-game adjustments being made. And Kyron Drones brought that up. We asked him, about finally working with a quarterbacks coach and offensive coordinator who's not an offensive line for the first time in his college career. And he mentioned it's great because, 1, you can relate to the guy, and 2, he knows how to make in-game adjustments because he can see if you're on a roll, instead of just run, we're going to make sure we give you some throws that keep you into your rhythm. Or if you're not in a rhythm, we get the run going, we get them to load a box, and then we can, hit some things over the top. So that's kind of, I think you want to see that. You want to see Sam Cephas make some adjustments in game, whether that's changing personnel, changing formations, mixing formations, doing that sort of thing. I think that type of progress, even if the record isn't great, say you go 6-6, 7-5. I hate to say that because Virginia Tech fans are going to be like, more of the same. But if you see some progress being made, you can say, all right, things are starting to trend in the right direction. And you look at next year's schedule and you say, okay, we got VMI, ODU, JMU at home, Maryland on the road. That's not great for viewership, but it churns out wins. So that's about where you're at right now. You got to show progress, and at the same time you got to get victories. So progress. You guys show that the on-field product is not lacking like it was at the start of last year, and even the start of 2023 when things got turned around. You got to come out of the gate playing well. You can't have this. You can't call it a mulligan and say, "Oh, well, we struggled in non-league play. We're going to turn it around when the ACC play comes." You got to start out strong.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, if you come out and you look bad again, new coordinators don't seem to make a big difference. I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to see marketed improvement just from the reports we've gotten. But yeah, if it looks the same, I mean, it's going to be the honeymoon's going to be over immediately for the new season if it just looks the same and they lose. But I think, like you're saying, if you blatantly can see that progress, and I think you're going to, just in the experience of both coordinators and how they're going to look and hold up against an SEC team because of Jarrett Ferguson, then yeah, you can kind of take, okay, all right, we didn't get it done. They had just a little more, but we'll start it again the next, like you said, Saturday night against Vanderbilt. So
yeah, exactly. Like, you show improvement. That's all you need to see.
Yeah. So playing down in Atlanta, I mean, everybody's saying it's going to be predominantly a South Carolina crowd, but what are you looking at? I mean, I know a lot of Tech fans are going to make that trip to start the season. How much of a favorite will it be in terms of the crowd, do you think, in South Carolina?
Well, let me pull up this contract real quick because there's a contract of how many seats Virginia Tech had to sell.
Oh, cool. Now we're getting to the crux of it. I've had a lot of questions.
Now we're getting to the crux of it. So, yeah, Virginia Tech had to sell a certain number of tickets in order to let me see if I can find this real quick because I did FOIA this. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Virginia Tech had to sell, oh, gosh, I forgot how long this contract was. It's a lot of tickets that Virginia Tech has to sell. Virginia Tech has to sell 25,600 tickets.
Wow.
Yeah. And, if Tech gets all of its fans to sell it, the Tech's payout from this is going to be like north of $4 million. And if Tech has to pay for a couple seats here and there to make up for it, that's fine. Or you just send them back to the secondary market.
Yeah.
So, the fact that Tech is on the hook for, like I said, 25,000 seats, that means it's not going to be completely pro South Carolina. It's going to be probably right down the middle. So instead of everyone saying, "Oh, it's not a bad drive from Columbia to Atlanta," that's true. But Virginia Tech was the one that initiated the conversations to be in this game with the Peach Bowl. So that's why Tech. The contract stated Tech has to sell these tickets. I'm pretty sure there's also a similar contract for South Carolina as well, that they have to sell a certain number of tickets. But the fact that Virginia Tech says, "Hey, you got to sell this number of tickets," you have different levels of tickets from suites to bottom row, upper deck, that sort of thing. So I think it'll be it'll be probably about 50-50. That ought to be a good thing for Virginia Tech. The fact that there's just right down the line should be the same. And who knows, the fact that it's in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, Tech's never played there before. There's probably some intrigue to it. And especially since it's Labor Day weekend, it's on a Sunday. You don't have anything to do Monday. There will probably be some Tech fans that will want to go there just because for the newness of it.
I know not a lot of info's coming out, but have you heard anything else about any other injuries? We know probably Caleb won't start the game, Caleb Woodson, but have you heard anything about the health factor? I know they kept everything so close to the vest.
Yeah, we didn't get to see practice last Friday. We're not going to see practice today before we do post-practice availability. So I think he mentioned Tyrion Stewart's trending in the right direction. Just a cursory glance at the depth chart. Keelan Adams is not on there, which probably leans more toward he's not playing. Same with Chance Wiggins. That's why you see like Devin Alves on there. Snoop Peterson, the freshman, who I think, based on what Fontaine Line said last week, he's going to play this year. We don't know how much. We don't know if the situation is he plays early and then goes to basketball. We don't know that yet. But it seems like everyone on the depth chart that should be there is there. There is the shuffling of the offensive line, moving Remock back to guard, putting Cunningham at tackle, and then shifting Ganem over to the right side at guard. which now means that center right guard combination is very young with a tackle that hasn't played tackle at the ACC level. So that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. We'll talk to Matt more later today to see what went into that, how he feels about that combination. So, yeah, a lot to see. I think he mentioned Terrion Stewart is trending in the right direction, but I would expect Marcellus Hawkins is going to be RB1 for this one. Probably a mix of Prelo, Bennett, and Coney. Just if Stewart isn't ready yet.
When are you heading down Atlanta way?
Mark Berman and I are heading down Saturday. So, be driving down while some good football's being played.
Yeah,
hopefully get a chance to catch a bunch, like the end of the 3:30 games, the evening kicks, when we get settled in Atlanta.
All right. Well, listen, man, have safe travels. Look forward to your coverage and talking about it next week, and we'll see how the Hokies get the season underway on Sunday.
Appreciate it, Rick. Thank you.
All right, brother. Thanks a lot. There you go. Good stuff as always from Damien Sordelett. And there you go. There's the latest on everything going on with Caleb Woodson. Whatever you might think about that. Feels like he's going to sit at least the first half. To me, anyway, it feels like he's going to be an observer in the first half and then play. It's interesting because what I find one of the most intriguing things about this game, other than, the whole, the Beamer connection, which is going to be played up, I think, probably ad nauseum on the broadcast, but the different pressure that each team has right now. And I think for South Carolina, it's earned. They've kind of put a bullseye on their back a little bit, especially in a game like this. I don't know how necessarily they're viewed by the rest of the SEC, because they've never been that team. They're trying to become that team. So there's pressure there now as a favorite they haven't had to defend before. And for Virginia Tech, the pressure is blatantly obvious. They need to have a good season or a lot of people are going to not have jobs anymore. A lot of prominent people, including the athletic director. So that intrigues me a little bit. There's pressure. You have to learn to pace yourself. Pressure. Sorry. I can't play the song, so I figure I'll be okay if I just do that. There's pressure on both ends, from, South Carolina. Now, it was interesting. South Carolina kind of had a lot of what Tech has on its back now last year. Shane Beamer needed a good season last year. There were a lot of people down there circling a lot of things that showed up on X and so forth, that there were people looking to, you think about how it changes a little bit. Last year, there were rumors that there were people trying to put together enough money to buy him out. And then he gets a contract extension. It just shows you, man. Coach Ragsdale said it yesterday. Winning changes it all. And if you're not doing it, it doesn't matter what you do, it's not going to work. South Carolina won. He got an extension. Everybody's all high and mighty on him again. They weren't going into last year. Brent Pry hasn't had that yet. Whit Babcock hasn't had that yet as a guy who's hired now 2 football coaches. He had it the first 2 years, Justin Fuente, and it hadn't been back since. But winning changes it all. Steve Ragsdale yesterday said it, right? We go out, you can try to recruit guys. We're in Giles. You're walking down the street. What was the story that he told? So he's a 6'2", 225-pound kid. He's not playing football. Why aren't you playing football? What are you doing? I can't sound like Coach Ragsdale because that's a unique voice, but he kind of talked, I can see him going up to the young man and his father saying, we need you out here for the Spartans. Then they started winning and they didn't have to make those trips anymore. Well, South Carolina started winning, and now here they are, number 13, and blah, 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 and it all changes. And they're in the league that ESPN loves to cover more than anybody else. So here comes the accolades. Here comes the cameras and the stories. And well, Tech's not there yet, so their pressure is like what South Carolina had last year. I think that's also an intriguing part of it. I don't think it's going to be talked about as much as it should be on Sunday. I don't know about you. I'm not listening to the TV broadcast. That I'm going to call up Roth and burn it. That's how I'm going to enjoy the game. Over on the Bear, 105.3 the Bear. Very happy that the games are back on the Bear. But so yeah, I think that's interesting. That's how quickly it can turn, though, man. Flip a coin in the air. 7 months ago, I had no inclination of doing this show on YouTube. Now here we are. We're in the middle of week 3. Who knew? Who knew? David Teel coming up in just a little bit, and then at 8 o'clock will be Matt Roan. Tater, former Pulaski County High School Cougar, and now the very successful athletic director at James Madison. Great dude. And I'm so happy that he's having a great career. It's not easy to be an AD, man. Especially not easy to be an AD here in 2025. So we'll talk to him about the new challenges and so forth. But he's embraced it, man. He's just opened his arms up, and he's got the right mindset for this. He's attacking this thing full throttle. But we'll talk to David Teel about week 1 coming up, getting to the ACC a little bit. I always like to bounce around and get David to just talk about the games and how important this week is for the conference. So we'll do that with him. Tomorrow, I know we'll have Andy Bitter. I believe Bill Ross is going to be able to join tomorrow. He's so busy today. He's usually going to be on Wednesdays, but he couldn't be here, and he let me know. I think he's actually out of town this morning. And Dwight Vick and maybe some other things that happen tomorrow. Yesterday, obviously, we had a ton of views. People still talking about the show. The best news is, after talking with Marty and Coach later on in the day, I think we're going to be able to replicate that on a monthly basis. I'll keep you posted. Marty wants to do it. He's actually the one who reached out to me about doing it, so I think that's great. So we'll see if we can put all that together. But and I want to have more of that. I want to have more of these coaches that are still around coming on and talking about. I don't know about you, but I could sit there and, like we did yesterday, I never tire of hearing those stories. Never. And that's why when I sat around with Dan Callahan, who was just the encyclopedia of Southwestern Virginia high school football, and hearing him tell stories of the New River District and the Roanoke Valley District and the story of how they got Coach Hicks. And it's just such a, I don't know about you. It's just such a great, you read books, historical books for things like that. Boy, you get that historical knowledge. The oration of it is just special. Yeah, 2 great storytellers, and then with Burn Up on there. That's the underrated part. The thing, and I don't think I had enough time yesterday. All right, so Mike, his segment was coming up at 8. And he had texted me. He said, hey, I'll jump on if you want. I need to ask Coach Rags about the Florida trip. I said, oh, that'd be great. That'd be great. So we got to a stopping point, and I put Mike up with Marty and with Coach Ragsdale. And what was so great about it that I think is underrated over that whole thing yesterday, Coach Ragsdale had gotten very comfortable at that point, kind of coming out of his element a little bit, or coming out of, not really sure how this was going to go. And then he was just talking and realized as soon as he saw Mike, I didn't have to introduce Mike. Did you notice that? If you go back and watch, and I know many people are going to, and I probably will watch it again too, he saw Mike pop up, and then he immediately starts going into, Mike Burnup's here. You know what? Long time ago, I jumped in the back seat of a car with Mike and his girlfriend. I mean, it was just brilliant the way he segued from focus on Giles and Marty, and then Coach himself and Mike was just like, yeah, this is exactly why I wanted to come on here. It was a little subtle thing, And that was the brilliance of it. Things that are unplanned and unscripted, man, it's the way it works. I deal with young broadcasters all the time. I'm working with a couple of Bill students, or at least one student who's going to come help us with our volleyball tournament. Great young man. His name's Landon. Landon Weaver. Bill's really, high on him. He's a good broadcaster. And we always try to help Bill's kids at Radford when we need help broadcasting. We bring them on. And he's like, they always ask me about scripts. All you do is show. How long does it take you to write your script? Here's my script. It didn't work that way. I don't do that. I never will. You just go. You go. Because if you sit there and you're like, hello, everyone, and we welcome you to another edition of Big Dog Sports Talk. It doesn't work. Coach Rags didn't need a script. Marty doesn't ever need a script. It's got to be real. It's got to be natural. And all that yesterday was just, no one could have planned any of that. It just has to happen, has to unfold. Just like when we made the announcement, Tech going to the ACC, when West Durham calls me during a break. Hey, man, you want an exclusive? We can't get out of the room, but Virginia Tech just got invited to the ACC, and they're going to accept. Oh, okay. And then that show sent the first run of the show into a different stratosphere. Jason says he watched it again with his dad. Oh, that's awesome. Super Spartan. He loved it. Yeah. Well, tell your dad, Jason, we're hoping, and Marty's schedule is going to have a lot to do with it, we're hoping to do that every week. I'm sorry, every month going forward. Not week, every month. That's right. It was straight fire, right? It was straight fire. Straight fire. South Carolina's going to wear black. Are they wearing black? Did South Carolina ever do a uniform reveal? I think Jimmy's supposed to be checking on that for me on a daily basis. Jimmy, where are you? Haven't heard from you. Let me see here. They have a black logo up. Oh, here we go. Let's see. 4 days. They're going to be having a black helmet. I have not seen a uniform reveal as of yet. Wait a minute. Is this it? Wait a minute. Here we go. Black jerseys. I think for South Carolina, the way it looks. So are they going to wear all black? We can have all black against all orange? Maybe. Maybe that's what's going to be. I don't know. They just had one shot of a guy hanging a black jersey in a locker. So maybe that's what they're going to do. I don't know. Wayne on our McClellan Chiropractic chat line. It's just been bouncing. Man, I love the chat room. I love both. I love the text line because we have different people on the text line and that we do in the chat room. So it's great. Marty's story of going over the mountain to see Virginia Tech with his dad reminds me, brings tears to your eyes. Yeah, he talks about that. Yeah, when he was reverenced with his dad, all the games that he saw. Yeah, that's right. See, yeah, it's one thing, Rodney, to have a schedule of people being on and then things just happen. And for a while, I got to be honest, I didn't think Coach Rags was going to be able to make it because I'd sent him all the stuff. And I didn't hear anything. And I was thinking. So I was just going to roll with it with Marty. It was going to be a shorter segment because, we didn't have Coach Rags. And then all of a sudden, boom, here he is. We were in the right place at the right time. It was awesome. And I hope we can do that every month going forward. That's the plan. Marty's the one who would love to do that. And to talk about these things and those memories, you could tell. It keeps him grounded. And like I said, he's going to be traveling. You're going to see him all over TV. He's going to be there. It's going to culminate with Clemson and LSU. He's going to be on the sideline. You're going to go to him and cut to him. You're going to look at that guy and realize, here's the same dude that was sitting there just looking at Coach Ragsdale with, just standing at attention, man. Just, and that's why Marty is successful. That's why I think people like him so much on Marty McGee. It's just two dudes being who they are. And that's what you have to be. You have to be genuine. If you're disingenuous, people in this audience that's been around this show for 15 years and now this, I know you're smart. I learned more from you than you ever learned from watching or listening to me. And I mean that sincerely. We're all fans. We're all the same. And that's what we're doing. We're gathering. We're discussing about sports. This is a new format. I'm still getting used to all this whole camera thing. I'm still not comfortable with. I'm trying. But we're all around the water cooler. This is what it's all about. I happen to have an outlet, but it's your outlet. That's why I take all opinions. There's no wrong answer if that's the way you feel about something. And I mean that sincerely. It's not, I wouldn't do it if I didn't. I don't do this so you'll agree with me. There's too many hosts out there. Well, if you don't agree with me, how dare you? It's stupid. I don't understand that mindset. Lack of self-awareness. Agreed. Text, a message on the McClellan Chiropractic chat room. Yeah, all the big events he's been a part of and all the people he's met. And if you asked him, he would say that yesterday was more special than any of that. I have no doubt that he would say the same thing. Another text message. Yeah, that's true. Reliance on scripts is what led things like that ESPN reporter. Yeah, did you see that? They had a gentleman in the studio wearing a really cool kind of a throwback Barry Sanders jersey. And she asked him about, where'd you get the Shedeur Sanders jersey? That's the people that network hires now. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, there's no doubt. Yeah, the unsung MVP yesterday was David Smith. Thanks, Jeff. I mentioned it yesterday. Because David was texting me. He was loving it. He was scheduled to be on at 7:30. And he kept saying, Rick, don't you dare. If I still have the text, don't you dare cut this off. You let this go. We'll have plenty of days going forward. I'm enjoying this. Don't take this away from your viewers. Yeah, David Smith was the MVP of the whole thing. He just said, you know what? No, I'm good. This is fun. We'll do next week. That was great. So, yeah, David was the MVP of that whole thing. Because his segment is one of the most fun things that I do. As a matter of fact, that's why we are going to just start our standalone show that's going to have this logo. It looks a lot like him. It doesn't look as much like me. Is that a baseball cap, or am I wearing like a derby, like you see a jockey at the Preakness? Sure what that is. But in any event, Sports and More is going to debut here. And we'll have David Teel coming up, and then Matt Roan, the James Madison athletic director. We'll find out all the great things that's going on at JMU. Young guy, enthusiastic, went headfirst into the new era of college athletics. He hasn't complained. He hasn't looked at any obstacle as being insurmountable. This is the way it is. We've been working on getting there as a long time as JMU. Boom. I believe more applications came to JMU than any other school in state. Is that right? So they're doing it right, and we'll talk to him about all these things. But yeah, fan question of the week. Why did you watch games that you watched? There's been a lot of people that's chimed in, Tech games because they went there with their family growing up. That's fine. I was a UCLA guy, so USC games always meant something. But I've always loved the Army-Navy game, the reverence of all that. Always loved it, 100%. Something about the pride that game still reflects in America when there's so many people who work hard every day to show you they don't either want to be in the United States or they have no respect for the United States. So when I watched the Army-Navy game, I used to always watch it with my dad, and God rest his soul, John Feinstein, who passed away a few months ago, just horrible news, who used to come on the show all the time, the great author, wrote that book about the Army-Navy rivalry. If you haven't read it, and you ever go to the beach and you want to just read a book, that is a great book. And he captured the essence of that game. I've always loved the Army-Navy game. What those young men go through, and then there they are. They have a rivalry. I won't say they don't like each other, but there's a real rivalry there. And then at the end, they're all standing there together, saluting the flag, singing the national anthem. Special. We don't have enough of that today. All the access media tries to do today is tell you how bad America is. I don't understand it. Criticizes everything, that all the people who have fought, all the veterans, all the people who lost their lives, that made this country the greatest entity on the planet. It's just now so easily mocked and tossed aside. I'll never understand how we've gotten to this point. But from a sports perspective, that game separates itself to me. And I don't care how good the teams are. I don't care. Records, that game doesn't matter records-wise. Never has. Never will. It does to the folks at West Point, does at the Naval Academy. But the rest of it doesn't really matter. Doesn't matter. Is that what it is? David said that the show I'm going to be doing here, Sports and More. Yeah, it kind of does look like an umpire hat, doesn't it? Yeah. That's our logo, though. Because David looks so good in the logo, I don't want to change it again. Yeah. You think I would have a horrible strike zone too, like the Major League umpires? I bet my strike zone would look better. Hit us up on the text line. Still don't have a sponsor yet for the text line, by the way. I'm just saying. Y'all can hit me up on that. But yeah, the fan question of the week brought to you by the attorney Ryan Pry. 540-838-2233. What college football game did you just enjoy watching? You watched it. None of it really mattered. Thank you so much. Steve, very nice. Thanks. I just got your message on the text line. Thank you so much. It's good to be back. This is a unique thing. We're trying to build it. And I don't think in terms of, getting support from the community, the views we have, like I said, the handler who's assigned the shows, bragging about the views that we have, the likes. It's important to go back and like every show. We got to get the subscription-based stuff. Just remind people it's free, if you would. It's absolutely free. But thank you. Yeah, we're just trying to figure this thing out, trying to conquer something that I never thought that I'd be able to conquer. And I haven't conquered it. I mean, every time I open up the studio and come in here, there's always just a little bit of trepidation. Just a little. David Teel going to join us here momentarily. And then we'll finish up the program with Matt Roan, the athletic director at James Madison. And he's going to come our way at about 8 o'clock. He's going to join us. So we're looking forward to that. Wayne says, umps wear all black, so Rick loves it. The all black uniform. They used to wear blue. Remember when we used to wear the blue shirts? Jim on the McClellan Chiropractic chat room says NC State ECU Thursday. should be interesting. Yeah, they had a brawl last year. That's going to be a great early season test for the Wolfpack. And here to talk about that and more is the multiple Hall of Fame member. For my money, the greatest sports writer this state has ever produced. His name is David Teel. David, how are you, man? Good morning.
Good morning, Rick. How are you?
Well, I'm good. And I found myself, and I wanted to ask you this question because I've talked about it all week. I find myself very grateful that I'm still excited about college football. And I didn't know if I would be working in college athletics, and you covered it so long, and we've seen the evolution and all the negativity and what's happening. And we know it's not right. We know it's been handled so poorly, but here I am, and I'm sitting there, and I want to ask you, I know you were watching Kansas State, Iowa State, but we may have talked about it a little last week, but I still have it, man. I still have that same vibe I've always had, and I love it. I love it.
Rick, I was up late Saturday night screaming at my television because Frank Reich was butchering the end game.
How? I know, me too.
It's like, dude, you got 3 timeouts in your pocket and you're letting Hawaii run down the clock for a walk-off field goal? What the hell are you thinking?
I don't know. They had that game won. The terrible interception, the terrible read there, that it just everything just imploded. Yeah.
No, but it's this particular offseason, Rick, because of all the litigation and all the talk about House and the college football playoff and everything associated with it. It was exhausting.
It was, yes.
And it's such a relief to have games to talk about and write about and watch. And I spent some time a couple of weeks ago at James Madison, and I was sitting in Matt Roan's office, the athletic director, and we were talking about this very subject. And he's the same way. This is his world, all the machinations around the industry. But he said, just to hear the music blaring at practice and to see the athletes moving back into dorms and apartments, he said it was such a relief, especially this season. And then to think that in JMU's case and in the case for many schools around the country this weekend, there will finally be fannies back in stadiums. It is a welcome sight, to be sure.
No, it's well said. You're right. And he's going to be on here momentarily. I'm going to ask him about that too, because I know how much he loves it and how he's not been shy from day one about the new world of college athletics. That's why he's a rising star in this field, as you know, right? Yeah. I mean, I don't know where he's going to end up, but Jamie's very fortunate right now to have him. He's the perfect guy there at the time. But I wanted to do that right now to celebrate. I mean, there's a lot of things happening. We just talked about it, with Damien and everything with Caleb Woodson and Tech. But we'll talk about the games, but we'll talk about that a little bit. 2 different types of pressure, David, for South Carolina. You spent time with Shane Beamer. Last year, he had the kind of vibe going that that Brent Pry has this year, right? He had to win last year. There were people down there trying to buy him out. Them showing up on social media. Now he gets a contract extension. They're favored in a lot of ways to have a great year. Tech has to have a big year. 2 different types of pressure going into that game on Sunday.
No question. And Shane Beamer is no stranger to the pressure of expectations. Now, he is a stranger to them as a head coach.
Right.
When you work at Georgia, when you work at Oklahoma, you are accustomed to preseason hype and expectations / demands. But now he's the head coach of a squad that's ranked 13th nationally in both major preseason polls, with a very gifted quarterback whom some folks are touting as a potential Heisman candidate, and why not?
Yeah.
In Lenora Sellers. So, yes, fascinating year for Shane Beamer, and there's no secret as to what needs to happen in Blacksburg. And we saw it embodied by Wood Babcock's presentation to the Board of Visitors. They are desperate in so many different ways to win in football.
Can Tech have a good loss on Sunday if they show improvement with the coordinators and still feel like they made progress? How it looks as opposed to the result may be something they have to take out of this game. It could be part of the reality given the fact they're 8-point underdogs. But in your mind, can that happen because everything's looked so bad and disorganized that they just look better and they still come away? You think that'll be enough heading into Vandy?
2 points, Rick. Number one, we asked Brent Pry yesterday because he has mentioned throughout the offseason about spending additional time on, quote, situational football. And heaven knows the Hokies needed it. They are 1-12 in one-score games on his watch. They have butchered the end of halves, the end of games. They've been terrible in overtime. And he talked about it yesterday, that he feels much more buttoned up in those areas. Now, I think folks with a level head could walk away Sunday from Mercedes-Benz and think,
right,
yeah, there's some progress. But if he loses another one-score game, there's another faction that's going to say, what the heck? He's now 1-13. And that's going to be hard to swallow. Now, it always matters how you lose, even a one-score game. Is it because of some misstep? Or is it because Lenora Sellers just Lenora Sellered at the end? So, I think Tech could have, quote, a good loss, but to a certain faction, it's win or bust.
David Teel, the Hall of Fame writer, joining us here on the program. All right, other games, and it starts on Thursday, and one of our people in the chat room mentioned it. East Carolina, NC State, that's an interesting matchup. I love games like that because we know ECU's the troublemaker, man. They've got athletes. They've got a scheme. A little 2-touchdown underdogs going into that game. But that's a pretty good test, isn't it, for the Wolfpack coming out here, Coach Dorn?
Well, a rematch of a very contentious military bowl
right.
last December, that's for sure. And, NC State is an interesting crowd. They've got their freshman quarter. Well, he's now a sophomore, but they have their quarterback back in the fold, and they should be better defensively. 2 new coordinators, one voluntary, one not. So big year for Dave Dorn after a disappointing season. NC State was the preseason darlings last year. Everybody thought, and hey, I picked them to finish second in the league last season.
Right.
Behind Florida State. That was a heck of a 1-2, combination. One that Florida State goes 2-12, NC State goes 6-7. What a genius I was to pick them 1-2. But now, the pack is flying a little under the radar. They were picked right in the middle, 8th or 9th?
Right.
In the league. I don't have that poll memorized. Forgive me. But it's 17 teams. It's impossible to memorize.
Yeah, that's right. Too many teams. Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, I think NC State with 14 strikes me as a very large number for that game, though.
Agreed. Duke, who a lot of people, I know yourself, think is going to be pretty good this year.
Very.
Elon, Kennesaw State, Wake. That's I don't know. My athletes down there too, coming out of Kennesaw. But Georgia Tech, Colorado is really intriguing to me, and I don't think people are talking about this enough. It's going to be a national game. You got Dion, Post, Shador, and Travis Hunter, and taking the team to Boulder, man. That's a big moment for the ACC early in the year.
It is. Georgia Tech, you could argue, is this season's NC State. They are this year what NC State was last year.
Right.
Many believe could make a run to Charlotte in the conference championship game. And I happen to agree with them. I think I picked the Jackets third in the league behind Clemson and Miami. I think they're really good. They've got wideouts. Obviously, they return Haynes King at quarterback. If they can button up the defense, Brent Key can coach now.
He can.
And he always is going to have an offensive line. That's his wheelhouse. That's what he played at Georgia Tech. they've got some nice pieces there on the flats. And I'm interested to see that game, and also interested to see Colorado post Shador. Is it Caden Salter?
No question. No question. And how's Dion? I don't imagine he's going to be very interested in coaching. Maybe I'm wrong. He's good for college football, but what do you think? I mean, it's going to be tough, I think, without his kids there.
He's great for college football, and just pray for his health.
That's true.
After his off-season scare with cancer, and he says, and the doctors say that he's cancer-free. Hallelujah! But you always have that in the back of your mind.
Yeah. So
just hope that he can devote his energy, and my goodness, the man has energy to spare to coaching his team.
Yeah, going back to Georgia Tech, it's rare, David, you see a coaching change have that as much of immediate impact as it has. Almost since the day they named Brent Key, things have been going up for Georgia Tech, and that's good. It shows you they knew what they had, but it's very rare, isn't it, to see it happen that quickly. That's what's happening to them. Their ascension. I know Haynes King helps, but Brent Key has been outstanding for that team,
especially against ranked opponents. Man,
yeah.
He's been so good in those games. Now, have they lost some that they shouldn't have? Absolutely. You can say that about most every team in the ACC. But the Jackets are trending in the right direction without question.
Syracuse have anything for Tennessee? Is that just too much to ask to go down there in front of 110,000 people and battle the orange?
Well, the game's in Atlanta, Rick.
That's right.
Remember, that's Saturday before
Sunday.
That's right. Virginia Tech, South Carolina game.
Double hitter, Greg. Yeah. What do you think?
No.
No. I agree.
Not that I'm that high on Tennessee, given the late quarterback drama there, and Nico and his dad, and then Nico's transfer. But too many pieces gone from Syracuse. And let's remember, this is the first of 4 college football playoff teams that Syracuse has to play this season. And none of those 4 games is in Central New York.
Oof.
This one on a neutral field, and then SMU, Clemson, and Notre Dame on the road.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way,
yeah.
A trip to Miami and a trip to Georgia Tech.
Oh, okay. All right. Better win those games at home. You're supposed to win. 2 teams that have kind of lost their aura. Alabama doesn't feel the same without Nick Saban running the sideline. I know Coach DeBoer is a great coach. He showed it. He knows. But he's still trying to create his thing there. Florida State, what's your take on the Noles? They get left out of the national title game one year, and they just fall off the face of the earth. You talk about a coach on a hot seat. Well, it's happening down there in Tallahassee right now.
A lot of heat on Mike Norvell. I don't think that Florida State has the stomach or necessarily the money to buy him out, a la Texas A&M and Jimbo Fisher. But, yeah, they're 2-10 is anything resembling that this season, and they're going to be marching in the streets of the state capitol. My guess is Florida State ends up in that murky middle, in that 7-5, 6-6 range, maybe 8-4. I'm not that big of a Thomas Castellanos fan.
Yeah.
Poking the bear didn't strike me as a very good idea during the offseason.
No.
I think I've got to think the Crimson Tide will arrive in Tallahassee with a point to prove.
Virginia better strap them on tight. 12.5-point favorites. You know this already. Coastal Carolina. You going to be at that one? Are you going to be at that game?
I will not.
You're going to be traveling already. Okay.
Yeah, it proved. I'm going to be between games. I've got a game Saturday, but it's elsewhere. I'll be in Death Valley for Clemson LSU.
Makes perfect sense. Yeah.
And because it's then an easy scoot to Atlanta. And a 3:00 kick with the Hokies and the Gamecocks. But, Virginia won comfortably down in Conway last season. I think with an upgraded roster, the Cavaliers should win comfortably again Saturday to set up a fascinating Week 2 game, non-conference, at NC State.
Yeah.
In a game that Boo Corrigan and Carla Williams scheduled, home and home, non-conference. They play again next season in Charlottesville in a game that won't count in the standings.
Have you heard of that much in college football like that? The intentional scheduling of a conference opponent that's a non-conference game?
The only other time it's happened recently, Rick, was, I'm going to say, a handful of years ago when Wake Forest and North Carolina did the same thing. Now, Wake and Carolina was a little different. They're state rivals. They weren't playing often enough to suit their respective athletic directors in the ACC schedule rotation. I think with Virginia and NC State, it was more a convenience thing.
Yeah.
Hey, we've got some vacancies. You've got some openings. Let's see if we can do something here. It's an easy trip for both of us, save a little money. And so they did it.
Speaking of that game you're going to be covering, the Battle of Death Valleys, right? The Tigers and the Tigers. Clemson, Phil Steele came on this show and said he thinks they're going to be in the national championship. How good do you think this Clemson can be? We're going to find out night number 1, aren't we?
We are. And you talk about another crowd that's going to be riled up. You know, Brian Kelly in the offseason referring to Clemson as Death Valley Junior.
Why? Don't do that.
I have to imagine that's going to be posted on a few lockers down in Clemson. But two of the best returning quarterbacks in the country, in Cade Klubnik and Garrett Nussmeier, and two coaches who have struggled mightily of late in season openers, in Dabo Sweeney and Brian Kelly, both national championship winners. But they need to get some work done.
And one more I wanted to go over with you. It's going to be the final game of this Labor Day weekend, and it's that Notre Dame-Miami game. And you're right, I haven't seen it yet, but you talk about a missed marketing opportunity if they don't have Catholics versus the Convicts shirts out somewhere. But Miami, another chance. So here they are, top 10 in the country, new quarterback, another chance for them against the Golden Domers, new quarterback. What do you think? How big is that game not only for the Canes to kind of set a standard that they haven't as a favorite recently, but also, you know, for the league to kind of cap off the weekend, depending on how the things go, obviously. But
yeah, and it's not really the cap, because then you got Labor Day night in Chapel Hill with Belichick's debut, and I'll be there as well Monday night.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
The end of my 5 games in 5 days. And hey, you only live once, man.
You're gonna love every second of it. I know you're gonna eat it all up. It's awesome.
Yes, I am. And I just hope the rental car holds up, and I don't need too much caffeine. But to your point, you know, Notre Dame starting a new quarterback in C.J. Carr, who you figure, given his inexperience, the Irish are going to lean heavily on that run game. But Miami's pretty stout up front defensively. And I have to imagine they're going to force C.J. Carr to throw that football. And that was the Hurricanes' kryptonite last season. Witness what Kyle McCord did to them in the regular season finale, which kept them out of the ACC championship game and allowed Clemson to slide in there and eventually win and represent the ACC in the CFP. But yeah, huge game for Mario Cristobal and the league, and will have college football playoff implications, you would think, throughout the season.
Yeah, no doubt. And I'm looking forward to watching Bill Belichick. I know you are as well in Chapel Hill on Monday night. I'm one of the ones that think it's going to work. I think he's going to do pretty well. I think he's going to adjust, because I think he wants to be coaching. He really seems to have embraced it. Maybe not the other things, but once game day comes around, there's going to be a few guys in this country that's going to be able to outcoach that guy. So,
No, I don't know that anyone's going to out coach him, but I think it's really interesting to see how he and his staff adjust to coaching a different type of athlete, a college athlete as opposed to a professional one. Now, I know that the college athlete of today is much more like a professional athlete given the money involved, but still they are younger and they have far more distractions in their lives than pro athletes.
Well, David, listen, I'm excited for you, man. It's going to be great to follow you around as you're traveling to all these games. Appreciate you taking the time today, as always. Before we let you go, I want to welcome in this guy. I wanted you to be able to say hello to our next guest who's coming up, Mr. Roan, Mr. Teel. I think you two know each other.
We do. Poor Matt endured about an hour of my company in his office a couple of weeks back. He was very gracious, and at one point he looked at his wife and said, "Dude, I have a business lunch I got to get to."
I appreciated the hour, and you were very gracious with the article. I had the chance to read it last week. It was well done, so I appreciate that.
Oh, my pleasure, man. I appreciate your time.
David, safe travels, my friend, and I can't wait to talk to you about all the games you saw up close and personal in this week 1.
All right, guys. Matt, good luck on Saturday, man.
I appreciate it, David.
Be good.
All right, brother. Stay safe. There you go. That's David Teel. And now joining us, ladies and gentlemen, here, Pulaski County native, the Director of Athletics at James Madison, Matt Roan. Matt, how are you, brother? Good to see you.
Doing well, Rick. It's good to see you always, and congratulations on the new show. And it's week 1.
It's week 1. It's week 1. And we were just talking about that with David before you came on, because he talked about his visit with you and how we all are just glad it's here. And I'm very grateful that I still feel that about college football. I know you do. And I think he was telling the story, because you spent that hour together, where you were just saying, hey, look, here's the athletes. I'm so happy to be seeing the football player. It just does something to you as an AD to see the student athletes again.
No, it does. I mean, college athletics, it's your business. You talk about it every single morning. It certainly has evolved. It is changing probably more rapidly than it ever has. But at its core, it's still good, right? It's still 18 to 22-year-olds. Sometimes you get that anomaly that may be outside of that range, but you're still dealing with people that you're trying to grow through sport. You're pouring into them. And when we have our student athletes here, it changes just the whole tone and tenor of what we have here on campus, and to support them, to see them start to compete, which we've already started in some of our sports, our 2 soccer programs, but they have the opportunity in the stadium here behind me on Saturday to kick it off at 6:00. We'll have a huge crowd in the parking lots, in the stadium. We'll have a sellout that we'll be announcing here pretty soon. Fired up about it.
Yeah, it has to be so exciting to see that. It's such a great opener, a game that should just be played all the time. I know you're endorsing that, and that atmosphere is going to be very, very special. And I know we talked about it, Matt, when you got the job back on the old radio show, how much the growth of James Madison and that community, how much that intrigued you about it, and how you've jumped into it and just embraced it, and now you're continuing to grow it. Is it just, do you ever just sit back right there in your office and go, wow, I mean, the things that we're accomplishing here is just kind of amazing right now?
If I sit back, I get in trouble, right? You can't rest on that. And certainly my predecessor in a 25-year tenure here accomplished a lot. And so I understand where the bar is, the standard that exists here. And so every day, we're trying to chase even better. For me, I don't want the best to be behind us. I want the best to be in front of us. And I think that's the pursuit that anybody that sits in the chair that I sit in around the country has is, you want your impact, you want your legacy to be about, first and foremost, I think, respecting the place where you do sit, kind of embracing that culture. And I've heard our new president talk about that a lot. But you want to put your own spin on it as well. And so, we kind of take pride in, I think, modernizing, adapting to the new rules and this new landscape that we're operating within now. But there's not a lot of resting. And so, again, that's the fun part is trying to chase something else. But, I do sit and I think a lot about how lucky we are, Rick, to be here. I was telling somebody last night, a friend of mine that has a different position within our own conference. And, the rest of the league looks at us and just talks about how massive, how loyal our following is. And that's, people that buy tickets, that's people that donate, that's our corporate base. labels are thrown around, and I mentioned this from time to time. Labels are thrown around, and people talk about high major, mid major, low major, and sometimes we have the tendency to be associated in that mid group. There's nothing mid major about the fan base here, right? This fan base is passionate. It's the reason that we do sell out our facilities. It's the reason that we have the facilities that we have, right? It's that they give and they support those things, but that's what I'm amazed by more than anything else, probably.
The current landscape, in lieu of giving any real guidance or rules, how are you feeling about the way things are starting to shape? I mean, I know we're still learning every day. I mean, Radford, we have a conversation every day about what's coming next and what might not come. How do you feel like things are adjusting right now because like you said, you're just trying to do it yourself at each school right now?
I got to get you a new polo, by the way. I got to get you something with some purple and gold in it. Come on. But, I do feel like we're in a good spot. And, you've probably talked about it on here a lot. And, for your viewers, the House settlement, not to be confused with the House of Representatives, but the House settlement, is it perfect? No. Does it put us on the path to perfection? I'm optimistic. I like to think so. And so, there's the back damages piece. There's the forward-looking piece with, the elimination of kind of scholarship caps, but roster limits and, being able to award scholarships up to those limits, rev share, third-party NIL, how all that works. We've got a good plan here. I'm very, very proud that we were able to, keep our 18 programs, continue to fund our programs at championship literally levels and expectations. Not one single program took a step backwards. We didn't have to, when you see all these stories going on around the country of people having, reductions in their workforce, we didn't have to do those things. Now we had to get aggressive with our revenue generation strategies. We had to be probably a little bit more detailed in how we're kind of optimizing and how we operate, how we are as efficient as we possibly can be and how we operate. But I think we're in a good spot, certainly locally, but I think nationally, people are leaning into what we have right now. Shame on them if they're not, right? If people are trying to say, hey, how is this going to fail? Right. Why are you in this, right? To me, have some optimism, have some hope that what we have right now, the framework that we're working with is moving us in the right direction. Now, I never imagined in a million years that I would spend as much time, kind of communicating with people in Washington as we are right now. Right. And so I work very closely with our, it's called READY, which is Research, Economic Development, Innovation, but that's where our federal kind of liaisons exist here. And so I work very closely with counterparts on campus, colleagues on campus, to just make sure that we're communicating with our delegation the way that we should. So I'm optimistic between the SCORE Act. I'm optimistic with, obviously the president's executive order and the work that's being done there, that we're on this path to having something that's sustainable.
Well, it's great to hear optimism. It is. You're right, because it's our reality.
Yeah.
So there's no point trying to turn our back and try to shield it, because it's right. Not going to go away, and you can't go into it with a defeatist attitude. So I agree 100%. Yesterday, we were fortunate enough to have, Marty Smith join us and head coach Ragsdale. And I've talked to you about this before, but you're such a community-oriented guy wherever you've been. And now you come from our community as well, my community, Pulaski County, who, by the way, are the presenting sponsor of this show. Can you talk about how you've taken that with you, whether you learned from a coach, your dad, on the farm, your friends here, and how you continue to be part of that? I know we talked about the relation. You could see it yesterday. Marty Smith has covered the highest level coaches and athletes in this country. I could tell yesterday, and he told me later, I had more fun. He goes, I had more fun just sitting there being with Coach than I have in a long time.
Yeah.
Can you talk about going back and you think about Coach Hicks in those days here in the New River Valley?
Yeah, it's a really good question. If I didn't lead with the fact that my parents, right, I was very fortunate to be raised by my parents and very fortunate to have both of them still living, and they live in Pulaski County, right?
Awesome.
They moved away for a little bit, but have moved back. My dad's had some health issues that we were able to help with in Kentucky. And then kind of in this stage of his life, we thought it was better that he would be back in Pulaski County. And so I started out with great parents, right, that gave me so many opportunities. And the thing that I would say is, what I learned at home was reinforced on a field, right? It was either a Pee Wee football field with coaches like Bobby Lorton, Mr. Lewis, Richard Lewis, 8th grade football coach, Ben Tickle, freshman football coach. And I think anybody that played for Coach Hicks, yourself included, you still hear his voice, right? As a 41-year-old. And that is a very unique voice that he had, right? We all have our version of imitation, what that sounds like. But I think my coaches reinforced what I learned at home and really supplemented it. And so much of who I am, what I am, I think was formed on a practice field just outside of Dobson Stadium. And it wasn't just him, right? It was the assistants. We had people that cared about our success, but probably nobody more than him. And really a community, to kind of go into that next part of that answer. My sense of community was kind of born out of Friday nights. When we played Salem or we played Marion, and obviously the most meaningful games, but even a touchdown classic, we had people in those stands and people would come out and the pride that you took, knowing that you were not only playing in front of your parents, you were playing in front of your friends, your sister. But I had aunts and uncles and grandparents and, the county, the community was your family and you never get to replicate that, right? Whether you play college football, whether you play pro football, whether you're sitting at JMU today, you'll never have that many people that you have a connection with inside of those stands. And so I think you maybe try to replicate that. You want people to feel attached to your program. And so from Nichols to EKU, now here to JMU, I always say that I get to talk about JMU athletics, but this athletics department is a lot of people's, right? It's the former players. It's the people who invest in the success of this place. And I think that was all formed right there at home.
Yeah, 100%. And you're right. We all have our own memory of Coach Hicks' voice. And the thing you never wanted was him not to look at you. Like if you did something and he kept looking at his chart, you were just like, oh no. He didn't look at me coming off the field.
I had a play. I will tell you, and I thought about this not too long ago. We're playing PH, I guess my junior year, and I come across the field. I was 6'3", 200 pounds, soaking wet. I mean, I was lucky to get on the football field even as a junior. And we had a running back. I can't remember which one. I mean, he breaks a long run down the sideline. Well, I'm trying to make a big block, a crowd pleaser. I clip a guy. And that big long run comes back. And for the next probably 2 plays, I was a little bit taller than him still. But I just felt him, screaming at me and getting on me. And I just kept my mouthpiece in. I kept my helmet on because, we weren't taking off our helmets on the sideline.
No.
Luckily, we won that game. We moved on, and he had a short memory. But I consider myself lucky to have been coached by him, like everybody, like most at least, to have been coached by him. And still hear his voice today.
All right, so I've had on the text. I've had at least a dozen people since you came on. You got to ask him, where did he get his nickname? Come on, let's hear it. Let's hear the Tater story.
So Tater. So there is a guy, and he passed away not too long ago. So my dad had a really good friend by the name of Lonzie Linkus. Lonzie is from Dublin and was, again, a dear friend of my dad. And the story, as I've been told, is that I, had started to blossom. I was a husky baby, right? But I didn't have a lot of hair. And Lonzie made the comment of, he just looks like a big, chubby, whatever you want to say, right? The descriptors.
Right.
Tater. And it stuck. And it has stuck with me 41 years. And from again, every coach, from Pee Wee football through college football. There are a lot of people in a lot of different zip codes around this country who know me not by Matt, but by Tater. And my youngest son's nickname is Tate as a nod to that nickname. So it fits.
I love it. Now, see, that's great, though. You embrace it. You just accept it for what it is. So many people say, no, I had to get away from it.
No, it's who I am. My wife calls me that. My in-laws. I mean, there's not a person that knows me that doesn't know me as Tater.
Well, finally, I want to ask you, because I talked about this. I'm writing a column every week for the Patriot now with Mike Williams, and I talk about how week one, we love football, but week one, take us through, and then you have a huge game. But, I mean, even not, if it was somebody else, what is it about week one that does something to us as fans? I mean, I know it's a clean slate, but, boy, that anticipation, Friday night here in Reiner, we're going to finally have a high school football team, and all these stadiums are going to be – but even at the collegiate level, what is it about week one in football?
I think every goal's ahead of you, right? Whether you're competing for a Blue Ridge District Championship at Pulaski County, whether you're competing for a Sun Belt Conference Championship, and we have college football playoff aspirations here with the schedule that we've been able to build. If we have the success that we think we're capable of having, we think we'll be in that conversation. I think it's hopes, it's aspirations, it's everybody's going to go undefeated. And then half of us are going to change with week one, and then that number's going to dwindle, as the season goes. But, I think it goes back to that community piece that you talked about, Rick. Yeah. It's, for 9 months now, the last time that we played in this stadium was against Marshall, and, we're up 17 at the half and ended up losing the game in overtime. And, it kind of really left a bitter taste in our mouths. So other than our bowl game, which we were able to win for the first one in school history, we waited 9 months to get back into the stadium. And, again, I talk about our fan base, how loyal people are. They're loyal to one another as well, right? They stick up for one another. There's an incredibly close bond between our alums and our fans. And so they waited 9 months to sit beside one another, cheer with one another. And then my week is making sure that we're putting on a good show for them. Coach Chesney's going to handle what happens between the lines. I get to handle everything that's outside of the lines, and we're looking forward to that. And we're going to put a show on display. I think a good one, one that our fans will be excited about on Saturday night.
Our BDST fan question of the week is: I want to ask you, when you were growing up, playing football, whatever it may have been, when you realized football was going to be one of your passions, what game did you love to watch? College football. The most, whether it was uniform, whatever it might. What game did you say I always want to watch those two teams play?
That is a good one too.
That's good. We've had some good answers. We had some good answers so far.
Let me think about that for a second.
Yeah.
To me, growing up where we grew up, it was hard not to pay attention when Tech played.
Sure.
So you loved watching that. To me, there's something special about Osceola and Renegade, and the traditions of Florida State with the tomahawk chop and those colors. Probably, if I'm being honest, I think they call it garnet and gold. It's not the Vegas gold that we had in Pulaski County. And,
right.
So I probably a Florida State uniform I would say was in there, but then I always admired. And I think this kind of goes back to my dad, Alabama as well, right?
Sure.
Just the tradition that exists there from Bear Bryant, Coach Stallings. Having one of the honors of my lifetime was I had the opportunity when I finished playing college ball to play in something called the Texas First Nation game. And Gene Stallings was our coach. And the stories that he told of Coach Bryant, the stories that he told of his own life and his own career, his family with his son, and some of the challenges that he had, that was a thrill. And so those are two teams that I probably paid the most attention to. But, look, even this past Saturday, I had the opportunity to watch Nichols, where I got my start play Incarnate Word on national TV. If it's a game on, there's something about this time of year.
I know.
The fact that every Saturday is occupied right now, much to probably the disappointment of Mallory. I'm not going to get a lot of stuff done this fall. But I love watching college football. I love, David asked me the other day, he said, you're a football guy? And I said, I'm actually going to stop you with that. And I said, I do love it. But part of my passion is, when comes time for fall, I'm ready for it. When it's time for the winter, I'm ready for it. When it's time for the spring, I'm ready for it. For me, baseball was actually my first love. I loved to catch. I loved just playing that position and playing that sport. Then it was basketball. Then it was football. And I always say I didn't really choose football. Football kind of chose me.
Right.
Tater kept getting bigger. That was the problem. At 41, I think Tater sometimes is still growing. That's a little bit concerning, but it's not this way. It's more this way now. But I absolutely love it. I love what I do. And there's no doubt in my mind that passion started in Dublin.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you're right. Our unis are so close to Florida State. The goal was just a little off. You're right.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember Coach Hicks actually used to talk about that.
Yep.
But, well, listen, Matt, thank you so much for your time, man. I am thrilled to death for you and your family. JMU couldn't have anyone else better directing that athletic department than you. And I'm so happy for your success. And more special because we came from the same place, man. Thank you so much for your time. And best of luck this year. I hope your football team follows through. It's going to be a great fall for you guys.
I appreciate it. I love being here. JMU is a special place to be just a little bit more than 2 hours away from home, from my parents, from all of my family and friends. It's a dream come true. And we have, again, incredible fans, but I need to see a few more 24084 being sent up this way to make sure that we get some Dillon and Pulaski County people up here.
Well, brother, thanks so much for joining us here on the new show, man. And let's do this again whenever, it works out later in the year. I'd like to follow you kind of through the football season and have you back on. So
I'd be happy to join anytime. And I'm happy for you, proud of you, what you're doing, and just keep doing great things there.
Thanks, man. Spread the word. Tell them to subscribe. It's free. We need subscribers.
I will. I will. All right. Thanks,
man, good luck this weekend, brother. Take care of yourself.
I appreciate you. Thank you, man.
All right. Thank you, man. Good stuff. And that was good. That's good right there. That's Matt Roan. Tater, the athletic director at James Madison. Guy's a rising superstar. He's embraced the whole new era of it, and you have to, or, what is the old saying? You evolve or you die. And they're not going to die down at JMU with that guy leading the way. No chance. And, All right. Again, I want to thank Family Fencing, sponsors of our studio here in Reiner. No Dig Installation System. They were our first sponsor on the new show, so it's always going to be special to talk about them. Locally owned and operated in New River Valley in Southwest Virginia. They have finance options available. Get free quotes, 540-200-8294, familyfencingnrv.com. Go see Jason Green and the crew there. We thank them so much for joining us. McClellan Chiropractic chat line has been absolutely buzzing all week long, last couple of weeks, so it's great. Thanks to Mark Hudley and the gang. They will pop you right, and they will tell you how to live a healthier life as well. You can always hit us up on the text line. Many texts were coming in there, questions about the nickname Tater. Thank you for that for Matt. 540-391-0788. We want to thank, obviously, the presenting sponsor of this program, and that is Pulaski County, and we appreciate Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment for being the presenting sponsor of the show. Can't wait to have those folks on to talk to them. We want to thank Little River Heating and Air at 1095 Radford Street in Christiansburg. Go see them. Charles Lee, you're going to need heaters. It's getting cold early. Go see them. And we want to thank all the folks, National Bank, and we appreciate their help. Member FDIC. Star of the Week. Send those to me. Several of you have. Athlete, you have a high school athlete you want to nominate for our Star of the Week. We'll bring them up. We'll talk about them here on the program, where they're from. That's brought to you by National Bank as well. And they're also the title sponsor of our 4th and Goal show that's coming up. And thanks to the attorney, Ryan Pry, for sponsoring our fan question of the week. Favorite unis, Matt just talked about Florida State, Miami was always special. College football games, what did you like to watch? A lot of it's tied into uniforms. I've noticed that. So thanks to all those folks. Hope to have more announcements of sponsorship soon. Means a lot to have that support from the community. So thank you. Thank you for that. And thank you again for all your support here on the show. Is it 2.5 weeks in? Yeah, we're 2.5 weeks in now. And I didn't know where this thing would be after 10 shows, 11 shows, but I think it's heading in a good direction. It's because of you. So thank you for your support. Please continue to spread the word. Go watch the old shows on YouTube, the ones if you missed them. Like the videos. And if you haven't subscribed, please hit it. It's free. Spread the word. We need to get the subscription number up. Things are headed in the right direction, but I get reminded of that every week by the YouTube people. And it's fine. It's fine. But they want these shows to work. They want live shows to be effective. And they want to be able to utilize the show as an advertising piece. So I'm just going to tell you the way it is. They want the show to be successful so they can, it wouldn't happen live during the show, but when you would go back and watch, they would be able to run ads and so forth. But it's good stuff. So tomorrow on the program, I believe Bill's going to be able to join us, Bill Roth, Andy Bitter, Dwight Vick, and there may be some other shuffling going on. We'll see. We'll see as the day develops. So big Thursday here on the show. And tomorrow is also going to be the debut of the new 4th and Goal show heading into 2025, myself and Jermaine Farrell. So that'll come out tomorrow because there is a game on Thursday. And we may have to start releasing that on Thursday now instead of Friday just because of the way the schedule is going to go. So that is going to come out tomorrow. And it's always great to hear Jermaine talk about all the different aspects of all these teams. He's going to have Farrell's 5. He always picks the top 5 games of the week. And it's not easy. There's a lot of good games here locally on Friday night, man. There's a lot of good games, good matchups throughout. So that'll be tomorrow. And as I mentioned, coming up, we don't know when it's going to be recorded yet, but it's going to come soon. Sports and More with David Smith and myself. That'll be a separate program as well. That'll all be uploaded to the channel. You can find 4th and Goal on the Big Dog Sports Talk YouTube channel. It's just going to be a separate show, like we did the Radford High School interview when we had Coach Cormany on, when he made the announcement of Sharon Jones with Mike Jones getting into the Hall of Fame there. It'll be on the channel separate from a live show. So the live show is one broadcast. These others will pop up. And instead of, if you go to the channel, instead of live, just hit videos. There's live, these are there, and you can always watch them because these were recorded live. And then you'll have the videos, and that'll be uploads. And that's the beauty of this flexibility. Nobody can tell me no. And there's going to be some Saturdays I'm going to decide to hop on live, and we're going to open things up, and we're going to have a conversation, just have a watch party, and that's going to be fun. I'll let you know ahead of time when I'm planning on doing that. I can't do it this weekend because I'm working at Radford Broadcasting, but yeah, we'll have that ability. And I think that's awesome to be able to do that. So we're going to have a lot of fun and growing this. And again, it's all about you. Just spread the word. And more days like yesterday are destined to happen, I think. If you missed it, as affected as we were and how much we enjoyed hearing Coach Rags and Marty, it affected them in a huge way because they both reached out. They want to do it again. Marty would like to do it every month. So that's what we're going to try to work toward as we get through September to find a common day that works for both Marty and Coach Ragsdale to do that all over again. I mean, that was awesome. That was awesome. So we look forward to that. So I hope everybody has a great rest of your Wednesday. Again, continue to spread the word and subscribe, please. And we have a big Thursday show. We're finishing off. We're charging closer to week 1. It's here, and it's a great time of the year if you're a sports fan. And this weather is just so delightful. It's absolutely perfect. Yeah, it's just the way it's supposed to be. It's all falling in line. Mother Nature can't get away from the start of football season. Has to fall in line. But thanks again to everybody. Thanks to our guests today. We appreciate Keon Brown for joining us on the program. He's always terrific. And, it was great to hear him talk about the coaches and the people who influenced him throughout all of his time. So thanks to him. We want to thank Damien Sordelett. Good stuff there on the situation with Tech and the DWI and how it's going to be handled. We'll have to wait and see how all that plays out. David Teel, it's great to have he and Matt Roan there. And thanks to Matt, the Director of Athletics at JMU. It's great to have him on there for just a second. Please subscribe, like, and share the channel. And everybody enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Thanks so much for joining us. If you missed it, we'll have it posted on the BDST Facebook page. You can go back and watch anytime you want. All right? Take care. Thanks to our guests. And Lord willing, we'll see you tomorrow morning. Same time here on the program on Thursday. Be good, everybody. Take care.